Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Myth: My Dragons Can Evolve Infinitely. Chapter 81. With this list of gods, even Bao Qing himself can easily become gods and let his subordinates have the status of gods. However, Bao Qing also knows that this list of gods is actually just a puppet flag. Whoever becomes a god or an immortal has his or her own destiny. If he seizes the list, it cannot be changed. Of course, this number refers to those monks who have not been deprived of their luck and blessings. Once the blessings of people such as Nezha and Li Jing are taken away, whoever takes them away will be destined to have their positions. To put it simply, if Bao Qing can make himself a god now, he will most likely ascend to immortality and become a heavenly commander similar to Li Jing, commanding hundreds of thousands of heavenly soldiers and generals. But in that case, it would be equivalent to working for heaven, and it would be better to have the freedom of not being a god. Putting away the list of gods gently, Bao Qing already had some ideas in his mind. Anyway, the three realms will be unified by his dragon clan. After he settles in the heaven, he can just rely on the power of the god list to re-establish his own dragon clan's heaven. After finishing the list of gods, Nao Qing finally turned his attention to Sibushang, who was already hugging Mo Qilin. It has to be said that these four different attributes are quite unparalleled compared to Mo Qilin. Just because it can bring strong luck to the owner, it is countless times better than other mounts. He is originally the son of luck, and after his luck improves, one can imagine his luck. But having said that, Zhang Zia was able to escape danger many times precisely because Sibushang possessed auspicious power. While Zhou Qing was thinking, in the distance, Sibushang had separated from Mo Qilin. His eyes were full of gratitude and even turned red. "My emperor, please accept the obeisance of my Qilin clan." Sibu made a thump and knelt directly on the ground. Once upon a time, the Qilin clan wandered around, and even the clan leader like him became someone else's mount and suffered all the humiliation. Who would have thought that they would have such a day? The Qilin clan would be reunited, and he and other clan members would not have to being oppressed by gods and humans. All of this is thanks to the Dragon King. It doesn't have to be like this. Nao Qing quickly asked Sibushang to stand up. "From now on, you will be the brothers of this Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Clan. It's time to show those aloof immortals the majesty of the Dragon Clan and the Qilin clan." Hearing the following words, even Sibushang himself felt very passionate, and his eyes were even more grateful. Sibushang is not willing to become the Dragon Emperor's mount, and I hope the Dragon Emperor will take him in. The next moment, a pleasant reminder suddenly came from Nao Qing's ears. "Congratulations, you have conquered Qilin clan chief Sibushang. Your dragon luck has improved. It has increased by 10 points. You have gained 1 evolution point which can be allocated to yourself. You have gained 1 evolution point can be assigned to subordinates." Listening to the reminder sound in his ears, Bao Qing was startled for a moment, and then he was delighted. Unexpectedly, the reward for subduing the leader of the Qilin clan was indeed extraordinary. He was actually given a full 10 points, which was better than tossing around several times. Ignoring the evolution points that could be assigned, Bao Qing suddenly cast his cold gaze very far away, and saw the sound of swishing squeaking continuously. The 12 golden immortals under Yuan Shi Tianzun, together with many disciples of Yuan Shi Tianzun, all came together. He showed up and was running here quickly. Then, is that boiled green? Dragon King boiled green. These golden immortals all rushed over when they felt Zhang Zia's aura disappearing, but unexpectedly, they bumped into the Dragon Emperor Ao Qing from the shores of the 4 seas. Just in time. Seeing many golden immortals coming, a cold smile suddenly appeared on the corner of Bao Qing's mouth. Simply, before the great tribulation of the gods comes, let the entire mythical world fall into chaos, so that the Dragon Clan can have a chance to rise up. Fengwo Mo Qilin and Sibushang on the side took a deep breath at this moment and came to the Dragon Emperor's side, their eyes shining with strong determination. "Lord Dragon Emperor, we will help you. They have been bullied by the gods for too long, and it is time to resist." Fenghuo Mo Qilin and Sibushang had just finished speaking. Before they could fully react, they saw a lightning-like figure heading straight towards the flying 12 golden immortals at extremely fast speeds. The owner of the figure is none other than Dragon Emperor Zhou Qing. Bao Qing is no fool. How could he not know how powerful these 12 golden immortals can be when they join forces? You must know that Guangchengji, one of the 12 golden immortals, and several other disciples once used powerful formations to kill immortals. Even saints like Tongtian cult master were almost killed. It is conceivable that the 12 the Jinxian teamed up, how powerful it was. Moreover, there are many magic weapons among these 12 golden immortals, especially Guangchengji's innate spiritual treasure Fanshan seal, which can even be called a brick-beating artifact. If you hit a brick, the immortal will be killed instantly, which is very powerful. So as soon as Bo Qing saw the enemy appear, he immediately showed his strong strength. He doesn't want to be like Xiao Cheng in many TV series, who waits until he is about to die before his small universe explodes. In just a few breaths, Nao Qing's body quickly grew longer and larger. From the size of a normal human, he transformed directly into a huge dragon body of more than 1,000 feet. This dragon body was so big that it could cover the sky and the sun. It covered the entire sky and made the entire sky dim. Looking from a distance, it was very shocking. The next moment, a huge dragon with a body of more than 1,000 feet appeared, revealing its figure. The dragon's head alone was as big as a hill. But this is not the key. The most important thing is that with the appearance of this giant dragon, the strong 5 elements instantly surround the dragon, especially the thunder element, which is faintly attached to the side, as if a giant dragon is stepping on a huge thundercloud. What changed in Bo Qing was none other than the 9-clawed Hunyuan Thunder Tribulation Purple Gold Mutated Dragon. After this change came out, the 12 golden immortals who were flying from a distance did not make any reaction, but they immediately felt an unprecedented suppressive force, suppressing them fiercely, as if Mount Tai was pressing down on the top, just like this, crushing towards them at extremely fast speed. 7th level of Thunder Tribulation. The next moment, as a powerful voice slowly reverberated, the thunder and lightning around the giant dragon gathered extremely intensely in an instant, and there was a faint thunder disaster operating in it, which was extremely terrifying. Then, in the surging voice, countless in an instant, a bolt of thunder and lightning split down, illuminating the dark sky like daylight, and headed straight for the 12 golden immortals. It was so fast that no one could react at all. Among the 12 golden immortals, Guangchengji, who had the deepest cultivation base, was the first to react. His face changed slightly, showing an expression of astonishment. However, he was experienced after all, and he directly took out the innate spiritual treasure in his hand. Tianyan, throw it out. Although the other 12 golden immortals did not have Guangchengji's cultivation and reaction speed, they were not slow at all. They all immediately threw out magic weapons and released spells at the same time to withstand the terrifying power of thunder and lightning. Boom boom boom. The deafening sound resounded without warning. The thunder and lightning collided with the magic weapons of the 12 golden immortals. There was a huge roaring sound, as if it would make people deaf. Unfortunately, even the innate spiritual treasures accumulated by the 12 golden immortals over the years are still difficult to resist when faced with the terrifying power of the 7th level of Thunder Tribulation. Puff, puff, puff. The sound of blood spurting out was heard. Guangchengji and the 12 golden immortals all retreated together, spitting out mouthfuls of sweet blood. Their faces were full of astonishment, shock and surprise. Although the 12 people did not join forces, they were all defeated by a giant dragon. It was only then that Guangchengji realized something in shock. Just now, this Thunder Tribulation was at least the 6th level of Thunder Tribulation. As soon as he finished speaking, all the 12 golden immortals were shocked and horrified. 6th level of Thunder Tribulation. This is a super thunder disaster that only happens once in 1,000 years. Even when they are going through the disaster, they only dare to survive it after using various magic weapons to protect themselves. What is the origin of this giant dragon in front of me, that it can spit out such a terrifying 6th-level thunder calamity? No, it's impossible. How can the Dragon King Yao Qing on the coast of the East China Sea control the power of Thunder Tribulation? Or is it the 6th level of Thunder Tribulation? Manjusri Guangfa Tianzun had a lingering fear on his face. As one of the 12 golden immortals of Yuanshi Tianzun, he had just passed through the tribulation a few days ago, and the tribulation he had passed was the 5th level tribulation. Even if it was only the 5th level tribulation, he almost lost his soul. I heard that when the Dragon Clan's golden dragon evolves into an 8-clawed golden dragon, or even a 9-clawed golden dragon, it will have the ability to bring down thunder and calamity. When it breathes, thunder and calamity will come. Another monk spoke slowly, This time the one who spoke it is Genren Yuding, one of the 12 golden immortals. This jade cauldron has extremely high magical power and understanding, and will also be the master of Erlang God Yang Jian in the future. 9-clawed golden dragon. 1 claw, 2 claws, 7 claws, 8 claws, 9 claws. The real Wonglong on the side was a little flustered, his eyes full of shock. They didn't expect that what appeared in front of them was a 9-clawed golden dragon. When did the shores of the four seas become so terrifying? A 9-clawed golden dragon was born. No, to be precise, it is the 9-clawed mutated golden dragon. It is the pinnacle existence of the 9-clawed golden dragon. The one who spoke this time was Red Seaman, one of the 12 golden immortals. His eyebrows were slightly frowned with an immortal air. Stand up. What? 9-clawed mutated golden dragon? It's actually a mutation. Golden dragon, can it mutate? The 12 golden immortals were surprised one after another. They all looked at the giant dragon covering the sky and the sun with shocked eyes, and their words were full of shock. Can you not be shocked? This is the first time they have seen a 9-clawed golden dragon, especially one at the mutated purple gold level. I didn't expect that someone would be able to recognize the identity of this dragon emperor. However, what this dragon emperor just unleashed was a 7th level thunder tribulation. Of course, I only used 3 successful powers. Looking at the 12 golden immortals, Bao Qing grinned slightly. The magic weapons and lives of these golden immortals will be his, no one should compete with him. As soon as he finished speaking, the faces of the 12 golden immortals, who were originally a little pale, were even more pale now. 7 levels of thunder tribulation. The golden dragon in front of me can actually bring down 7 levels of thunder calamity. What this means, I'm afraid no one knows it better than them. And just when the 12 golden immortals were thinking like this, Ao Qing, who had turned into a huge dragon, suddenly moved at a speed that was unimaginable. First of all, the dragon claw he stretched out quickly, like lightning, went straight to grab Guang Chengji, one of the 12 golden immortals, at an extremely fast speed. The 12 golden immortals were all disciples of Yuan Shi Tianzun, and they were extremely talented. Seeing that Guang Chengji was in trouble, they all subconsciously took action and used their own magic weapons. But at this moment, Zhou Qing's fat dragon body moved again, and amidst the deafening thunder, it once again unleashed the 7th level of thunder tribulation. Boom boom boom. The deafening sound sounded again, and the extremely thick lightning bolts were seen, and at the moment when the dark sky was illuminated like daylight, they rushed directly towards the 12 golden immortals. At this time, all the attention of the 12 golden immortals was placed on the green dragon claw. When they fully reacted, they found that it was too late. It was too late to react in time. At this moment, they could all clearly feel that the terrifying power of thunder and lightning contained in the thunder disaster was something they could not bear, and were even unwilling to bear in this life. Boom boom boom. Amidst the deafening sound, although many 12 golden immortals managed to withstand part of the power of thunder and lightning with the help of magic weapons, most of the power of thunder and lightning still directly shook the 12 golden immortals to death. Suddenly, many of the golden immortals were almost stunned and lost their lives directly under this lightning. However, after all, they are disciples of Yuan Shi Tianzun, and they are all people with great influence. The magic weapons on their bodies are all automatic protectors, trying to block the power of thunder and calamity. Seeing the 12 golden immortals like this, Bao Qing's lips curled up slightly. In fact, even he could not have imagined that the power of this 7th level thunder tribulation would be so powerful that even Guang Chengji, one of the 12 golden immortals, could not bear it and was helpless to parry it. While he was thinking, countless rays of light flashed, and the 12 golden immortals all threw out magic weapons in an attempt to kill Bao Qing and end the power of the thunder tribulation. Especially Guang Chengji, who directly killed the innate spirit. The Bao Fan Tianyan was thrown out. Facing the combined blow of everyone, while still far away, Bao Qing felt the terrifying pressure, as if a huge boulder was pressing on his shoulders. Obviously, the power of these magic weapons is not bad. But, even so what? Light flickered in the dragon's claws, and the quasi-chaos treasure that had never been used by Bao Qing, the 9-color exquisite pagoda after the evolution of the 7-color exquisite pagoda, was instantly sacrificed by Bao Qing. As soon as the 9-colored exquisite pagoda came out, the 9-colored colors suddenly illuminated the entire dim sky like daylight. From a distance, it looked very illusory. In addition to the 7 colors of the rainbow, there were more, one black and one white. The 2 colors give people a shocking feeling. And under the 9-color wrapper, a 9-story pagoda made entirely of pure gold fell directly into the palm of Bao Qing. You have magic weapons, and so does I, the Dragon Emperor, Bao Qing. Bao Qing raised his lips slightly and directly offered the 9-colored exquisite pagoda. This 9-color exquisite pagoda was only the size of the palm of your hand at first. As it flew out, it instantly grew longer and larger. In just a few breaths, it reached a huge height of more than 10 meters, which was very shocking. The next moment, the 9-colored exquisite pagoda was spinning rapidly, suppressing all the magic weapons thrown by the 12 golden immortals and locking them into the pagoda. Many magic weapons of the 12 golden immortals were still shining brightly when they were thrown out. The next moment, they turned dark and were sucked into the pagoda, as if they had never existed. Especially Guangchengji's Fanshan seal, which was suppressed by the pagoda and imprisoned on the first floor. This is Li Jing's exquisite pagoda. What a powerful exquisite pagoda, it can actually defeat our magic weapon. Oops, everyone, remove the magic weapon quickly. Only then did the 12 golden immortals realize Zhou Qing's intention and wanted to remove the magic weapon, but found that they had already been unable to protect themselves. Under the 7th level of Thunder Tribulation, it was very difficult for them to just resist. Get rich. Bao Qing put away the 9-colored exquisite pagoda and did not bother to take stock of the harvest. Instead, he cast his eyes on Yuanshi Tianzun and Taisheng Laojun, who had arrived not far away. As soon as the 2 saints arrived, they immediately noticed the body of Bao Qing's fat 9-clawed golden dragon. This made their eyes look shocked, and their eyes flashed with surprise, and soon they noticed that Bao Qing's body was even saints like them felt a little frightened by the terrifying 7th level Thunder Tribulation. They naturally noticed the 9-color exquisite pagoda just now. Yuanshi Tianzun and Taisheng Laojun asked themselves that this was the first time they had seen the 9-color exquisite pagoda, and they could feel that this 9-color exquisite pagoda was unusual. Immediately, Yuanshi Tianzun and Taisheng Laojun were sure that this Bao Qing, who came from the shores of the 4 seas, must have an extremely deep background and backing, and was probably someone they did not dare to provoke. Master! With the appearance of Yuanshi Tianzun, the 12 golden immortals who struggled to withstand the Thunder Tribulation quickly sent out a signal for help. 7 levels of Thunder Calamity. Yuanshi Tianzun chuckled, and suddenly flicked the fly whisk in his hand, and more than a dozen gusts of breeze immediately blew towards the dozen 7 levels of Thunder Calamity, trying to blow away the clouds of calamity. But soon, Yuanshi Tianzun couldn't laugh anymore, his expression was a little stiff, and he froze in place. The calamity cloud that he originally thought could be blown away by casting a spell did not move at all and could not be resolved. And one of the disciples named Guangfa Tianzun was about to be wiped out by the power of the 7th level of Thunder Calamity. Yuanshi Tianzun's eyes widened and he let out a light sigh. The expression of Taisheng Laojun on the side also changed suddenly. Only then did he notice that the 7 levels of Thunder Calamity descended by Nao Qing were definitely not ordinary. Even Yuanshi Tianzun cannot be dispelled. It was only then that Yuanshi Tianzun and Taisheng Laojun took a serious look at Dragon Emperor Bao Qing. It seems that it is not that simple to discover this Dragon King from all over the world. Otherwise, the Thunder Tribulation would not contain the laws of heaven. And tribulation dragons that can use the laws of heaven are often very terrifying existences. The 7th Tribulation Dragon. Could it be that it's the Heavenly Tribulation Dragon? The Dragon Emperor from all over the world has become the Heavenly Tribulation Dragon. Yuanshi Tianzun, one of the 3 saints, couldn't help but think of something terribly terrifying, exclaimed. As soon as he finished speaking, Taisheng Laojun's expression changed continuously. Heaven, the way of heaven robs the dragon. As for the 12 golden immortals who were bound in the 7th level of Thunder Tribulation, their faces were all as pale as paper at this time. Unexpectedly, Bao Qing on the shore of the East China Sea had turned into a Heavenly Tribulation Dragon. You must know that this Heavenly Tribulation Dragon is an even more powerful existence than the 9-clawed purple gold mutated dragon. The Thunder Tribulation it spits out is not just a simple Thunder Tribulation, but a Heavenly Thunder Tribulation that contains the laws of heaven. If it is just an ordinary Thunder Tribulation, after the tribulation fails, the monks will at most lose their souls. But if it is a thunder tribulation of heaven, the failure of overcoming the tribulation will not be as simple as losing their souls. Instead, it will completely eliminate them from the rules of heaven, and even the chance of reincarnation will be eliminated. None, extremely terrifying. Even saints like them are unable to bear the thunder calamity with the laws of heaven and dare not try easily. Thinking of this, Yuan Shi Tianzun and Taisheng Laojun both looked at each other in horror and took a deep breath. If Bo Qing is allowed to develop again and evolve into a level similar to the ancestral dragon 12-clawed golden dragon, I am afraid that a small thunderstorm from heaven will destroy their souls and be unable to reincarnate. However, if Bo Qing is attacked now, no one will be able to reincarnate. Different from challenging the majesty of the backer behind Dao Qing, they might still die. Suddenly, the hearts of Yuan Shi Tianzun and Taisheng Laojun became complicated. They never expected that they had been plotting against others all their lives, but in the end they were plotted by others. Of course, they had no idea that the Dragon King had no backing to support him. Everything was just a pretentious thing, but it happened that several great saints did not dare to act rashly. Heavenly Tribulation Dragon. Bao Qing has good hearing and immediately noticed the words of the two saints. Immediately, he was stunned at first, then became happy. In the evolution of the dragon clan, there are indeed types of dragons of heaven. When a thunder tribulation comes, it directly brings down the law of heaven. The power of the law is extremely terrifying. He originally thought that he would have to go through a lot of practice to become such a tribulation dragon. But he didn't expect that he would become the heavenly tribulation dragon invisibly. With the identity of this heavenly tribulation dragon, wouldn't it be much easier to fight against the three great saints in the future? But he soon figured it out. After all, he had absorbed a lot of luck from the children of luck these days, and the blessings brought by the general situation became his. It was reasonable for him to become the heavenly tribulation dragon. While he was thinking about it, Yuan Shi Tianzun took action without warning and slapped him hard with one palm, obviously wanting to relieve his disciple of the crisis. Although Zhou Qing is only at the quasi-sage level now, and he is still many epochs away from being a saint, he has two quasi-chaos treasures and is protected by thunder and calamity. Naturally, he is not afraid at all, and he reaches out without fear. He grabbed his huge dragon claw and slapped Yuan Shi Tianzun fiercely in the past. Even from a distance, Ao Qing could clearly feel the power of laws contained in the palm of Yuan Shi Tianzun, the binding method of heaven, and the terrifying power of dozens of world planes. It was as if that palm made Ao Qing see. I arrived at the Milky Way, saw the universe, saw the multiverse, countless epochs. Only now did Ao Qing finally realize why many gods and Buddhas who have reached the level of saints are the masters of so many worlds and planes. It turns out that that palm directly exerted the power of several worlds. Is this the level and realm of a saint? Although Bao Qing was muttering in his heart, the dragon claw still did not dodge and collided with it like that. Bao Qing's body was huge, and the dragon's claw was as big as a building. In comparison, Yuan Shi Tianzun's palm was as small as an ant, or even just a light spot in the dragon's claw, completely disproportionate. However, this disproportionate impact was like a spark hitting the earth. In an instant, strong shock waves surged everywhere, and the entire Kunlun Mountains shook violently. Countless ice and snow fell down like an avalanche. It was so painful that the huge dragon body took several steps back, but Yuan Shi Tianzun on the other side didn't feel well at all. His whole body flew out like a kite, taking dozens of steps back, his eyes full of surprise. Taisheng Laojun on the side saw this and frowned slightly. What is the origin of this Zuaoking? He actually held hands with Yuan Shi Tianzun, one of the three great saints. He was not injured at all, and even knocked Yuan Shi Tianzun back several steps. How is this possible? This is the power of Pengu's essence. At this time, Bao Qing was also stunned. He clearly felt a powerful force within his body that dissolved all the terrifying power of Yuan Shi Tianzun and dissipated invisible. It seemed to be the power of Pengu Jingyuan that he had captured from Shu Mountain. However, Bao Qing came to his senses at this time. The reason why he was able to repel Yuan Shi Tianzun was entirely because his realm of dragon god art was more advanced and purer. After all, this was what Zulong had practiced before. How could this skill be touched by a saint like Yuan Shi Tianzun? The Yuan Shi Tianzun here also frowned slightly. He could clearly feel that in the palm of his hand just now, although Bao Qing was not as strong as himself, an unprecedented power that frightened him was dormant and suppressing him, everything he did. For a moment, Yuan Shi Tianzun couldn't see Bao Qing even more clearly. Although many of the top magic weapons were not used, if such a top mythological master became an enemy, it would probably affect their plans in the future. Thinking of this, Yuan Shi Tianzun suddenly changed his mind and smiled like a kind old man, as expected of the Dragon King of the East China Sea. In just a few months, he has cultivated to the level of quasi-sage. In some aspects, Ida's not even weaker than me anymore. Ida's really the waves behind the Yangtze River that push the waves ahead. I'm really ashamed of myself. I'm afraid everything was just a misunderstanding. Bao Qing, how about you let my apprentice go first and relieve my apprentice's thunder catastrophe? In front of Dragon Emperor Nao Qing, Yuan Shi Tianzun actually lowered his posture and used the words, "I am old man," obviously trying to deliberately ease the relationship with Nao Qing. Hearing Yuan Shi Tianzun's words, how could Bao Qing not know that this old man was afraid? After all, many of the 12 golden immortals under his 7th level Thunder Tribulation will be his capital in the future in the mythical world and the main force in the god-conferring catastrophe. If he loses it, I am afraid that Yuan Shi Tianzun's hard work over the years will be in vain, and at the same time, his status as a saint will most likely be taken advantage of by others. In short, he is holding on to Yuan Shi Tianzun's handle. If you let me go if you say so, wouldn't this Dragon Emperor be very shameless? The corner of Bao Qing's mouth curled up, and he started to sit down and raise the price. At this time, he would be a fool if he didn't blackmail Yuan Shi Tianzun for a few strokes and unleash a wave of Dragon Clan's luck. After hearing what Bao Qing said, Yuan Shi Tianzun immediately became furious and wanted to explode. Now among these immortal monks, which one is not cautious and extremely cautious when seeing these saints? Keep a smile on your face, for fear of offending. It's good for the Dragon King to be young now. Instead of giving himself face, he wants to raise the price. Taishang Laojun's eyes flashed with depth. Seeing that Yuan Shi Tianzun was about to have an attack, he quickly grabbed him and stopped him. It was only then that Yuan Shi Tianzun calmed down from his intense rage. He took a long breath and said to himself that he was one of the saints since the dawn of time. His mentality had been the same since ancient times. Why was he so rude? However, when Yuan Shi Tianzun looked at the fearless look on Dragon Emperor Bao Qing's face, he felt more and more that there was something more complicated behind Dragon Emperor Bao Qing, and he was definitely not someone he could easily provoke. For the sake of his grand plan to become a god, everything can only be endured for the time being. What's more, this guy just received his palm and was unhurt, which is enough to explain a lot of things. Hey, fellow Taoist, what do you want? Yuan Shi Tianzun's expression returned to that of a kind old man, and he said to Dragon Emperor Bao Qing. If Dao Qing hadn't been familiar with the plots of function in ancient times, he would have been deceived by this kind old man and thought he was a good old man. It's a pity that Nao Qing, who is familiar with mythological plots, knows very well that this kind old man, who seems harmless to humans and animals, had plotted against the Dragon and Unicorn clan back then, causing the Dragon and Phoenix catastrophe to break out. Seeing the kind look of Yuan Shi Tianzun, Bao Qing knew that Yuan Shi Tianzun and Taishang Laojun had probably fallen into a trap. At that moment, he deliberately pretended to be very angry. If I ask this Dragon Emperor to let go of some of your it's not impossible for me to be a disciple, but you have to give me some magic weapons to compensate for my mental losses. Speaking of this, Zhou Qinglong twisted his head, giving people a very funny feeling. Magic weapon. Anger rose in Yuan Shi Tianzun's heart, and he was about to explode when he suddenly noticed that the disciple beside him was unable to bear the 7th level of Thunder Tribulation and was about to lose his soul. The magic weapon is fine. Yuan Shi Tianzun didn't talk nonsense. With a wave of his empty hand, a golden light went straight into the dragon's claws. At that moment, Nao Qing only felt a faint coolness coming from the dragon claws. When he took a closer look, he saw 7 auspicious clouds floating quietly above his dragon claws, namely white auspicious clouds and yellow auspicious clouds. purple auspicious clouds. There are 7 colors in total, and these 7 auspicious clouds exude unique power, which is soul-catching and gives people a special feeling. As this, Bao Qing was stunned and could feel that the magic weapon given to him by Yuan Shi Tianzun was definitely not ordinary. This is the protective magic weapon used by this holy lord during his cultivation. It is an innate spiritual treasure and the heavens celebrate the clouds. Yuan Shi Tianzun said slowly, this treasure can ignore the attacks of any treasure magic. It can be regarded as a very powerful protective weapon. Ida sa magic weapon. Good. Bao Qing's eyes lit up. Only then did I remember that when Patriarch Hongjun was practicing, he had refined a protective magic weapon for himself, which was none other than Zudian Qingyan. Later, Patriarch Hongjun combined his body with Taoism. As he became more powerful, he no longer needed this magic weapon, so he gave it to Yuan Shi Tianzun. Unexpectedly, Yuan Shi Tianzun was so generous and directly gave him such a magic weapon. Among the many magic weapons he currently possesses, he still lacks a magic weapon that can protect himself. This Zudian Qingyan is undoubtedly a very good choice. At that moment, Bao Qing swung his dragon claw and put the Qingyan of the heavens into his bag. Immediately, he directly withdrew the 7-fold thunder calamity that still shrouded the 12 golden immortals. Boom! As soon as the 7th level thunder tribulation disappeared, the originally dark sky suddenly became brighter. The blue sky and white clouds gave people a sense of cloudy and clear sky. The 12 golden immortals who were struggling to support themselves suddenly relaxed from the pressure at this moment. They all collapsed on the ground. Among the 12 golden immortals, only those with stronger magical powers such as Guangchengji and Kai Jingjing were not seriously injured, but golden immortals like Guangfa Tianzun and Qingwei Taoist were all on the verge of death. He will soon be out of his wits. Yuan Shi Tianzun didn't care about anything else and left directly with these golden immortals without leaving a word. Taishang Laojun was stunned for a moment, and then quickly followed. Senior brother, can this be the end of the matter? Seeing the master leaving, aka Seiko and the others, who were somewhat unwilling, surrounded Guangchengji and asked angrily. Many of the magic weapons of these people are in the hands of the Dragon King Aoqing of the Four Seas. Ever since they started practicing in the prehistoric world, the 12 golden immortals have never received such resentment. Yes, senior brother, can this matter just be forgotten? The person who spoke this time was Master Yuding, who would be the future master of Erlang Shen Yangjian. What, do you think you are the Dragon King's opponent? Didn't you see that master slapped him just now? I believe you have seen the result. Senior brother Guangchengji took a deep breath, he said through gritted teeth angrily. After the words fell, all the 12 golden immortals fell silent. Immediately, they all turned into light one by one and disappeared without a trace, as if they had never existed. Looking at the leaving 12 golden immortals, Bao Qing's lips curled up slightly. This trip to the Kunlun Mountains can be said to be fruitful. Not only did he obtain Zhangzia's god list, divine whip and other innate spiritual treasures, but he also captured many treasures of the 12 golden immortals, which suddenly enriched his magic treasure house. But compared to these, what excites Bao Qing the most is that just by going to Kunlun Mountain, the Dragon Clan's luck has increased by more than 30 points. He has gained 3 more evolution points, which can be used for his subordinates, and myself. Si Bushong and Feng Huo Mo Qilin on the side remained silent. They were dumbfounded the whole time. Especially the moment when Nao Qing and Yuan Shi Tianzun faced each other, both of them were suffocated. What they didn't expect was that Dragon Emperor Baoqing was worthy of being Dragon Emperor Baoqing, and even faced Yuan Shi Tianzun, one of the 3 great saints, without falling behind. Si Bushong, who was originally a little worried about the future of the Dragon Clan and Qilin Clan, is now more determined to follow behind Bao Qing and show the so-called superior gods that they are not easy to provoke. As for the Prime Minister Turtle on the side, he looked at the burly and majestic body of Nao Qing with his hands behind his back, and said to himself that in just a few weeks, their Lord Dragon King's strength has improved a lot. It seems that the Prime Minister Turtle's hard work is not enough. Not enough. Get out of here first. Aoqing shrugged his shoulders. After this confrontation with Yuan Shi Tianzun, he also realized a problem, that is, although he himself was strong enough, his subordinates were far from the level of the 12 golden immortals. He must find opportunities to cultivate his own 12 golden immortals. golden immortal, enrich and strengthen the dragon clan. But just as he was about to leave, he noticed an unusual aura on his back foot. Come out. As soon as he finished speaking, a faint figure gradually walked out of the darkness. It was a tall and thin Taoist, wearing the Taoist robe of Yushu Palace, with a pair of wolf-like eyes shining with sharp light. It was only then that Prime Minister Turtle and others noticed that there was someone hiding in the dark who never appeared. And Fengwo Mo Qilin recognized the name of the Black Shadow Master at first sight, frowned, and said in a bad tone, Shen Gongbao. Why are you here? When he was in Yinshang, Fengwo Mo Qilin saw this person more than once and felt that this person was definitely not a good person. Shen Gongbao. A look of astonishment flashed through the eyes of Sibushang on the side, and he suddenly remembered that there seemed to be a guy named Shen Gongbao who was under Yushu's sect in Kunlun Mountain and was a fellow disciple of Zhang Zia, but the reputation of this Shen Gongbao was not good. And just when everyone was thinking about it and were a little wary of the incoming person, the corner of Bao Qing's mouth curled up slightly. As a fan of mythology, how could he not have heard of Shen Gongbao's name? Question mark. This person was full of misdeeds. During the Great Tribulation of the Gods, I don't know how many disciples of Lord Tongtian lost their lives. Countless monks had no choice but to enter the list of gods and lost everything. It was precisely because of the Lord Tongtian that he accepted Shen Gongbao had to enter the immortal killing sword formation in the end. Not only did he almost lose his life, but all the apprentices he had worked so hard to train for most of his life came to nothing. Regardless of the appearance that Shen Gongbao was full of misdeeds, he went to Yushu's sect and was not taken seriously, and turned to the Tongtian leader. In fact, in Bao Qing's view, this Shen Gongbao was probably deliberately placed by Yuan Shi Tianzun with the Tongtian leader. He was an undercover agent who cooperated with Zhang Zia to implement the plan to become a god. Otherwise, after the Great Tribulation of the Gods, he, Shen Gongbao, would not have been canonized and became a general in the East China Sea. Now that Shen Gongbao is here, he is most likely here to be an undercover agent for Yuan Shi Tianzun. However, since Yuan Shi Tianzun wanted to pull this trick, he would simply use it to his advantage. While Ao Qing was thinking about it, Shen Gongbao knelt on the ground with a plop. Excuse me, who is Master Ao Qing, the Dragon King of the Four Seas who rules the shores of the Four Seas? The younger one is Shen Gongbao, a disciple of Yuan Shi Tianzun of Yushu Palace in Kunlun Mountain. As he spoke, Shen Gongbao burst into tears and wiped the tears from his eyes with his right arm. Just now, I felt the majesty of the Dragon King and was deeply admired, so I wanted to leave Yushu Palace and worship in the East China Sea Dragon Palace to serve as the Dragon King. I wonder if the Dragon Emperor is willing to take him in. After hearing Shen Gongbao's words, Now Qingxin said that it was true. However, Bao Qing was not easy to fool. He pretended to be very interested and said slowly, Why do you want to leave Yushu Palace? Because the little one turned into a spirit from a leopard, and many of Yuan Shi Tianzun's disciples are human beings, they are very excluded from the little one. Shen Gongbao almost burst into tears when he said this. Fengwo Mo Qilin and Sibushangruo on the side were not wary of him. They might have been deceived by Shen Gongbao's superb acting skills. I believe Lord Dragon Emperor is also deeply moved. We all know how much we, the Demon Clan, are looked down upon by others. When I saw Lord Dragon King just now, I felt yearning for him, especially when Lord Dragon King actually did not fall behind in the hands of Yuan Shi Tianzun. Your admiration is like a surging river, endless. Prime Minister Gui on the side looked at Shen Gongbao, his eyes couldn't help but turn red. Being a member of the Demon Clan is so difficult. Shen Gongbao finally spoke to his heart. Okay, from now on you will follow me. Bao Qing is not a fool. Keeping Shen Gongbao by his side is a hidden danger. However, don't forget that he has a system. Secretly instigating Shen Gongbao to rebel can have a greater effect. Thank you, Dragon Emperor. Shen Gongbao plopped down and knelt on the ground again, kowtowing several times. As expected by Ao Qing, he was indeed the undercover agent that Yuan Shi Tianzun planned to assign to the leader of Tongtian to carry out the plan of becoming a god. However, the mission given by Yuan Shi Tianzun to Shen Gongbao changed with the appearance of Bao Qing. Yuan Shi Tianzun wanted to spy on the true strength of the Dragon King Ao Qing, so he wanted to place an undercover agent next to Ao Qing, which led to this scene. It's a pity that Yuan Shi Tianzun's plan was seen through by Ao Qing at a glance. Get up. Now Qing shrugged. Fengwo Mo Qilin on the side was about to say something, but Si Bushong quickly grabbed Fengwo Mo Qilin and shook his head, indicating that Fengwo Mo Qilin should believe in the Dragon Emperor. Fengwo Mo Qilin then stopped. Seeing that the trip to Kunlun Mountain was uneventful, Ao Qing led everyone towards the shores of the Four Seas, preparing to return to the East China Sea Dragon Palace. It has to be said that Si Bushong was much faster and more comfortable than Feng Huo Mo Qilin. While everyone was returning to the East China Sea Dragon Palace, Bao Qing slowly opened the system prompt. After killing Zhang Zia, he had already taken stock of the innate spiritual treasures such as the God List and the God Whip, but he had not yet taken stock of the materials he had obtained when fighting the 12 golden immortals. The 9-color light spread out in an instant, and the 9-color exquisite pagoda appeared directly in the hands of Bao Qing. With a spell from Bao Qing, the many magic weapons suppressed in the 9-color exquisite pagoda flew one by one, came out, and immediately fell into the hands of Bao Qing. First of all, this magic weapon is none other than Guangchengji's personal weapon, the Fanshan Seal. Fanshan Seal, one of the innate spiritual treasures, an artifact for moving bricks. This seal is like a jade seal. If it shakes, the sky will shake and the earth will shake. If it shakes, the sea will roar and the mountains will roar. It is extremely powerful. As expected of Fan Tianyan. Just by putting the Fan Tian seal in his hand, Bao Qing could vaguely feel the terrifying power of this magic weapon. It was absolutely extraordinary, even as good as the colorful and exquisite pagoda he took from Li Jing. Then, Ao Qing gently shook the Fanshan seal, and terrifying vibrations immediately came from the surrounding mountain peaks, and the sea below also shook violently, as if a terrifying earthquake had occurred. Ao Qing quickly became proficient in the technique of using this Tianyan. He could just throw it out directly. I am afraid that no immortal would be able to escape the slightest blow from the Tianyan. After taking stock of the heavenly seals, Ao Qing set his sights on the next magic weapon, male and female swords. Seeing the male and female swords, Ao Qing was stunned for a moment, and then he remembered that this male and female sword was also one of Guangchengji's magic weapons. The male sword was capable, and the female sword Moi was extremely powerful. It was one of the supreme swords. Unexpectedly, the 9-colored exquisite pagoda, and also suppressed such a magic weapon and became his own. It's a pity that there is no immortal killing sword. Bao Qing looked at the Linglong pagoda carefully and found no trace of the Zhoushan sword. It seemed that Guangchengji did not have time to use the Zhoushan sword when he faced him. Otherwise, just with the Zhoushan sword, his combat power would have soared. However, with this male and female sword, it is not a small gain. Thinking like this, Ao Qing's eyes swept down again, and soon, his eyes lit up. In Ao Qing's shining eyes, he saw only a long and small rope exuding endless magic power, lying quietly in his hand, in the palm of his hand. This small rope looks very ordinary, but Ao Qing can feel its terrifying binding power. It is as if a magic weapon flies out and can directly tie up the opponent. It is very powerful. This magic weapon is none other than the immortal binding rope, one of the innate spiritual treasures. Speaking of this bundle of immortal ropes, it is very famous. I don't know how many immortals were tied up by this bundle of immortal ropes and could not move. During the great tribulation of the gods, Tu Xingsun tied them up with the bundle of immortal ropes. Many gods and gods came over. During the great tribulation of Journey to the West, this bundle of immortal ropes also tied up the Monkey King, the Monkey King. One can imagine how powerful this bundle of immortal rope is, but one never expected that it now belongs to him. Carefully putting the immortal binding rope into his bag, Bao Qing set his sights on the next few magic weapons. However, it was a pity that the remaining magic weapons were not very famous, and their power was not as good as the Linglong Pagoda and other magic weapons. However, Bao Qing still carefully kept these magic weapons. If they were used sometimes, they might be able to save the day. After simply taking stock of the magic weapons he had obtained, Ao Qing stopped talking. Instead, he sat cross-legged on Sibushong's body and quietly entered a state of practice. In Kunlun Mountain, this was his first duel with a saint-level master. Although he only had one move with Yuanshi Tianzun, he had already felt the power and terror of the saint-level realm from Yuanshi Tianzun. It was by no means just an increase in strength. So simple. To be precise, when you reach the realm of saints, what the power improves is a multi-dimensional improvement. The action is not a pure energy fluctuation, but a special energy that contains multiple dimensions such as time, space, and power fluctuation. To put it simply, when he takes action now, it is just powerful energy, but when Yuan Shi Tianzun takes action, it is directly the power of laws and the power of countless interfaces. If he had not become a calamity dragon, the laws of heaven are contained in his actions. I am afraid that he is not the opponent of Yuan Shi Tianzun at all. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that he was still far away from the realm of a saint. Although he had reached the word accurate, the difference was thousands of miles away. He now finally understands why so many quasi-saint level figures have never broken through to the realm of saints for several epochs. It is not that simple to break through to the realm of saint. While Zhao Qing was thinking, a pleasant reminder came to his ears. Congratulations, you gained enlightenment in the battle with the top master Yuan Shi Tianzun, and your Taoism has increased by 32 years and 234 days. Congratulations, you gained enlightenment in the battle with the top master Yuan Shi Tianzun, and your Taoism has increased by 34 years and 22 days. Congratulations, you gained enlightenment in the battle with the top master Yuan Shi Tianzun, and your Taoism has increased by 23 years and 324 days. Congratulations, you gained enlightenment in the battle with the top master Yuan Shi Tianzun, and your Taoism has increased by 46 years and 12 days. Listening to the pleasant sound of an increase in Dao Xing coming from his ears, Bao Qing was stunned for a moment. He never expected that in just a few breaths, his Dao Xing would increase by as much as 100 years, which is better than a monk practicing for 100 years. However, after he thought about it, he realized and understood that the more he fights with masters, the more he can improve his insights and understanding of all things in martial arts. Such an increase is indeed what it should be. The more he thought about it, the more he was immersed in the understanding of the battle. At the same time, the sweet prompts in his ears did not stop at all. I don't know how long it took, but when Nao Qing opened his eyes again, Si Bushong had already carried him to the beach of the East China Sea. The former Dragon King of the East China Sea, Ao Guang, and others had already lined up to welcome him in a solemn formation. Not bad. Bao Qing glanced at the system prompts and found that Dao Xing had improved for more than 1,000 years in such a short period of time. He couldn't help but grin slightly, feeling very excited. When he looked up again, he saw Ao Guang and others, and he shrugged. Shrugging his shoulders, he dropped directly to Sibushong, and returned to the coast of the East China Sea, surrounded by Ao Guang and others as if they were licking dogs. Shen Gongbao followed the dragon masters with a pair of cold eyes. As an undercover existence placed by Yuan Shi Tianzun among various forces, he has the consciousness of being an undercover agent. In fact, when he saw Yuan Shi Tianzun angry because of the shores of the Four Seas, Shen Gongbao had been thinking about who the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Aoking, who controlled the shores of the Four Seas, was, and why Yuan Shi Tianzun was so afraid. Now that he had just arrived at the East China Sea beach, Shen Gongbao immediately noticed that compared with the East China Sea in the past, the East China Sea now seemed to have undergone tremendous changes. The shrimp soldiers and crab generals guarding here all had glaring eyes and murderous intent. Even he had some. My heart was pounding with fear. How could I feel that anyone could break into the East China Sea? After just a brief sense, Shen Gongbao was surprised to find that the realm and strength of these shrimp soldiers and crab generals guarding the sea area had reached the level of the heavenly soldiers and generals of the South Tianmen of the heavenly court. What this means, I am afraid no one knows it better than he, Shen Gongbao. Is this still the East China Sea? Shen Gongbao's heart skipped a beat, and he followed the crowd cautiously. Soon, Shen Gongbao entered the water. At first, he thought that the East China Sea didn't matter, and it was just that the guards had changed a little more powerfully. But as he went deeper into the East China Sea, the scenes in front of him simply shocked his three senses. Observation, his vision. The first thing that shocked him was the transformed fish spirits and fish monsters that could be seen everywhere. The sheer number of them shocked Shen Gongbao. Shen Gongbao only made a rough count. The number of transformed fish spirits and fish monsters was about hundreds of thousands of people gathered together in a dark mass, which was quite a visual impact. After that, what shocked him were the training academies and martial arts arenas everywhere, as well as the certified and studious shrimp soldiers, crab generals, fish spirits and fish monsters surrounding these buildings. He could even feel the spirit from these monsters. A somewhat academic atmosphere, the kind of atmosphere that can only be found in Yushu Palace in Kunlun Mountain. Is this still the East China Sea? Shen Gongbao couldn't believe what he was seeing. He didn't expect that in just a few months, the coast of the East China Sea had turned into this. But soon, he found that he was surprised too early, because in the East China Sea, he actually saw Shushan, which only exists in the human world. The majestic Shushan was so ethereal and peaceful, sitting quietly in the sea. Among them, countless shrimp soldiers, crab generals, fish spirits and fish monsters swam among them, concentrating on learning swordsmanship. Some shrimp soldiers and crab soldiers even carried double swords on their backs and competed with each other on swordsmanship. If the sound of water hadn't been heard around him, Shen Gongbao would have felt that he was in the human world, in the Yin Shang dynasty. No, even the Yin Shang dynasty did not have such a culture or such an atmosphere. And at the same time that Nao Qing had just returned to the shores of the Four Seas, Nuwa Temple, Nuwa Palace. The Nuwa Empress, one of the 6 great saints, was sitting in the Nuwa Palace at this moment, overlooking everything that was happening in the human world. Although in history, Nuwa, the Empress, made humans out of clay and made stones to mend the sky, she was the ancestor of mankind. However, in fact, Nuwa only regarded these things as matters of enlightenment and merit, and did not take human lives into consideration. Otherwise, when she was offering incense in the palace of Nuwa, king of Shangzhou, Nuwa would not destroy King Zhou of Shang's entire foundation and make countless people miserable just because King Zhou of Shang insulted her. What's going on with King Zhou of Shang dynasty? Has Su Daji succeeded? Suddenly, a cold voice slowly sounded, and the aloof Nuwa raised her neck, looking down at everything with a pair of beautiful eyes. I'm sorry to say, Empress Nuwa, Su Daji did not succeed, but became the wife of the Dragon Emperor of the East China Sea, Dao Qing. A Taoist boy knelt on the ground and reported carefully. Hearing this, Nuwa's lazy figure suddenly straightened up, her eyes full of surprise. What? Su Daji's original plan was to be sent to cause trouble to the Shang and Zhou dynasties, thereby completely setting off the prelude to the great catastrophe of the gods. She, Nuwa, could also take advantage of this opportunity to seek certain benefits from Yuan Shi Tianzun, Taishang Laojun and others, and now Su Daji, one of the most important chess pieces, has become someone else's wife. What's going on? Tao Dong looked at Nuwa's somewhat angry expression, took a deep breath, and slowly explained, telling the whole story of the cause and effect. When she heard that the Dragon Emperor, who ruled the seaside, went to Cheoj of Shang and Zhou dynasties alone to suppress everything, Nuwa could not help but widen her eyes and frown slightly. She did not expect that the Dragon clan would rise so quickly, especially the Dragon clan. Huang Baoqing has become a 9-clawed golden dragon. You must know that although she, Nuwa, is the ancestor of mankind, she is actually born as a monster. In the prehistoric era, her identity was also the leader of the monster clan, and her identity as the leader of the monster clan was only obtained after the death of the ancestor dragon. In other words, the direct beneficiaries of the fall of the dragon, Phoenix, and Qilin tribes are her, Nuwa, and the leaders of several other demon clans, Dongwang Tai, Dijun, and others. Now that the Dragon clan has regained its former glory, I am afraid that she, the demon clan, the identity and status of the clan leader will not be preserved. However, Nuwa does not take status and identity too seriously. The most important thing is that Nuwa cannot take advantage of the Great Tribulation to gain a fortune. I am afraid that her situation will be even worse in the future, of difficulty. After all, although she is a saint, many monsters under her command have either been won over by forces or destroyed by various forces. Sooner or later, it will be her turn. In fact, Nuwa's worries were not wrong. After the catastrophe of conferring gods, the power of Nuwa's lineage fell directly. Nuwa herself was directly under house arrest. She had to rely on the descendants of Nuwa in the lower world to try to move back. It was a pity that all failed. During the journey to the west, Buddhism and Taoism were revived, and no one remembered her as the Saint Nuwa. After experiencing so much, Nuwa herself knew very well that every catastrophe was a change of power and status, and nothing should be done carelessly. But something happened to such an important thing. Bring Su Daji back to me. I want to see what this Dragon Emperor is capable of. Nuwa Empress was immediately angry, but as soon as she finished speaking, another Taoist boy's face was full of anger. He rushed in a panic. Mother Nuwa, it's not good. Many of your Nuwa temples in the Yin and Shang dynasties have been demolished and replaced by the Dragon King Temple, and the incense in the Dragon King Temple is better than that of the Nuwa Temple. I don't know how many people there are. There is an endless stream of people coming to worship. Nuwa, who was already on the receiving end of the fire, started to grit her teeth angrily when she heard this. What this means, I'm afraid no one knows it better than her. You must know that many temples built by gods are used for incense sacrifices. The gods themselves can absorb the energy of incense and thus quickly improve their realm. Every missing Nuwa temple means missing a helper for practice. Now the Nuwa temple has been replaced by the Dragon King temple, and the incense is even more prosperous than hers. Isn't this a slap in her face? Nuwa, who had originally wanted to cause trouble for the Dragon Emperor, could no longer bear it now. Quickly dispatch demon generals to me. I will lead 100,000 demon soldiers and demon generals to attack the shores of the four seas. Nuwa was completely angry at this moment. But at this moment, a Taoist boy came over cautiously and hurriedly advised, Empress, please don't do it. Have you ever heard about Dragon Emperor Aoking going to Yushu Palace in Kunlun Mountain yesterday? Is Dragon Emperor Aoking going to Yushu Palace in Kunlun Mountain yesterday? Qing killed Zhang Zia on the spot, seized Zhang Zia's list of gods, and struck the divine whip. He also defeated the 12 golden immortals under Yuan Shi Tianzun, and finally exchanged palms with Yuan Shi Tianzun without being hurt. Later, Yuan Shi Tianzun wanted to apologize, actually gave the innate spiritual treasure Zudian Qingyan to Dragon King Zuaoking. What? Nuwa took a breath and gradually calmed down. She is a little lucky now. Fortunately, she didn't act in a hurry. Otherwise, even if she mobilized 100,000 demon soldiers and generals, she might not be able to match this shore of the four seas. But this is not what surprises Nuwa. What really surprises Nuwa is that who is the Dragon Emperor Aoking on the shores of the four seas. Even Yuan Shi Tianzun dare not easily provoke him. I also gave you treasures and made amends. Empress, you and the Dragon Emperor Bao Qing are both demons. I think that the rise of the Dragon Emperor Bao Qing may not be a bad thing. Moreover, the list of gods has now fallen into the hands of the Dragon Emperor Bao Qing. If it will be, he won over and used the conferred god list to reconsecrate the gods. He took this opportunity to insert a few of his own forces. After the catastrophe of the conferred gods, will the world not be yours, Nuwa? Dao Tong saw that Nuwa gradually calmed down. Said someone with an idea on the side. Then Yuan Shi Tianzun could actually let Dragon Emperor Nao Qing leave with the list of gods. Nuwa's eyes flashed with deep light, and she felt that Nao Qing was becoming more and more mysterious. She was very clear about the importance of the conferred gods list, but at the same time, it also proved that the Dragon King's survival was by no means ordinary. Dragon Emperor Bao Qing has always wanted to recreate the glory of the Dragon clan. Why, Empress Nuwa, have you never wanted to recreate the glory of the demon clan? If we join forces, we will look at everything. Dao Tong spoke again. If we join forces, will we look down upon each other? Hearing this, Nuwa took a deep breath. Think back to the time when Pengu created the world. The Dragon clan and the Phoenix clan traveled across the wilderness in order to compete for resources, which led to the Dragon and Phoenix tribulation. After that, the Demon clan and the Witch clan stepped onto the stage of history. As the leader of the demon world, she, Nuwa, could be said to be in the limelight for a moment when the Demon clan was in its glory. But as the Demon clan and the Witch clan both lost in the battle, the Witch clan fell, and the Demon clan was also driven out by the humans and gods, and had to survive in the most difficult place. Once upon a time, she, Nuwa, didn't want the Demon clan to regain its former glory. Now, the opportunity seems to be just around the corner. Nao Qing, who didn't care about the actions of Nuwa and others, or to be precise, was too lazy to pay attention to them, returned to the East China Sea Dragon Palace at this moment. This time when he returned to the East China Sea Dragon Palace, a pleasant reminder sounded in his ears: the detected loyalty is lower than the mandatory 100 loyalty points. As soon as the prompt sounded, the corner of Bao Qing's mouth curled up slightly, and a pair of sharp eyes fell on Shen Gongbao, thinking that the East China Sea Dragon Palace had finally worked, and could turn all enemies who were weaker than him into his own subordinate. Without hesitation, Yao Qing directly chose, yes. The next moment, the pleasant voice sounded again. Shen Gongbao's loyalty has been forced to reach 100%. Congratulations. We have another capable subordinate, Shen Gongbao. Bao Qing nodded with satisfaction. At this moment, Shen Gongbao, who was standing not far away and knew nothing, suddenly felt a powerful force injected into him, beginning to erase the memory in his mind and changing his consciousness crazily. I don't know how much time passed, but when Shen Gongbao opened his eyes again, he knelt on the ground with a plop and said, "Little Shen Gongbao will assist the Dragon Emperor to unify the three realms from now on. Long live my emperor, long live the emperor. Long live." At this time, Shen Gongbao only felt that the Dragon Emperor in front of him was his master. He would do whatever his master asked him to do without any betrayal. Not bad. Now Qing nodded slightly. Yuan Shi Tianzun sent Shen Gongbao here as an undercover agent. I'm afraid he didn't know that he had already instigated the undercover agent to rebel. Shen Gongbao stood up slowly. After a moment, his body rapidly evolved in the holy water on the shores of the sea. There was a faint power of thunder and lightning entangled around Shen Gongbao. Congratulations. Under the passive evolution of the holy water, your subordinate Shen Gongbao has evolved into a thunder leopard, controlling the power of thunder and lightning, and his realm has been upgraded to the realm of Xuanxian. The sweet voice sounded again, and Shen Gongbao felt the changes in himself, especially the power to control the thunder and lightning. For a moment, his eyes turned red, and he kowtowed to the ground 3 times with 3 bangs, 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 3 times, and thanked him. The kindness of the Dragon Emperor. Little Shen Gongbao will follow the Dragon Emperor and listen to the Dragon Emperor's orders, even to the death. Once upon a time, he, Shen Gongbao, became a disciple of Yushu Palace in Kunlun Mountain and was ostracized in various ways because of his status as a demon. Even Zhang Zia, who was not as powerful as him, dared to ridicule him. Shen Gongbao asked himself that he still had some talents. How many times had he expressed his ambitions to Yuan Shi Tianzun, but he could not see him. Instead, he always gave him the worst and most dangerous things. For example, during the great catastrophe of conferring gods, Zhang Zia, who was much weaker than him, was in charge of conferring gods. Not only did he have a list of conferring gods, a whip to beat the gods, but also 4 different things to protect him, and what about him? Except for Yuan Shi Tianzun's cold words, "Go down the mountain and work as an undercover agent, there will be no more." No one cares about his safety, no one cares about him, and no one cares about him. But what Shen Gongbao didn't expect was that the Dragon King would evolve as soon as he came up. He would make further progress. The shackles that he had never broken through would break through, reach a new realm, and evolve into a leopard demon. The top among them, Thunder Leopard. How does this make him less excited? How not to cry with gratitude? For a moment, Shen Gongbao had only one thought in his mind, and that was to serve the Dragon King until death. But just when Shen Gongbao was deeply valued and excited, a pleasant reminder came to Nao Qing's ears again. Congratulations. Shen Gongbao's loyalty to you has been increased to 120 points. You have reached the point where you will not hesitate to die and will be loyal to you in every reincarnation. Bao Qing was stunned at first, then overjoyed. Unexpectedly, this loyalty can exceed 100 points. Judging from the message prompted by the system, Shen Gongbao is not only loyal to him, but also loyal to him after hundreds of reincarnations. This reminded Bao Qing of the Erlang god Yang Jian. His roaring dog was reincarnated many times, and each time he was loyal to Yang Jian, which became a legend. He didn't actually do anything to make him green. Shen Gongbao was able to evolve only because of the shores of the world. Unexpectedly, he gained such a super loyal guy. However, he quickly realized that Shen Gongbao had suffered terribly over the years and was ostracized in various ways just because of his prejudices. How could the Dragon Clan and the Qilin Clan not be like this? Just because of being a dragon, he was called a demon dragon by humans, was ostracized, and was hunted down by various so-called famous and authentic monks. When it comes to talent, when it comes to everything else, regardless of his background and the aura of the protagonist, is Shen Gongbao really weaker than Zhang Zia? Why are demons evil? Are people just? Get up. Now Qing said slowly, you should know the purpose of this dragon emperor re-employing you, right? Shen Gongbao understands. Shen Gongbao is not a fool. Go. Bao Qing shrugged his shoulders. Shen Gongbao did not hesitate and turned into a ray of light and disappeared without a trace. Even though Shen Gongbao is a small character, such a small role often has the potential to change the entire pattern of the conferred God tribulation, and this is also one of the purposes of Nao Qing to turn Shen Gongbao into his subordinate. As soon as Shen Gongbao left, Bao Qing's eyes fell on the former Dragon King of the East China Sea, Ao Guang. The latter did not hesitate and directly reported the development of the seashore these days as a report. Taking Hu Tada's Sihaiban situation report, Ao Qing read it carefully. In the past few days when the Dragon Emperor went to Yushu Palace in Kunlun Mountain, the data on the 4 sea coasts have increased rapidly. Especially in the sea area controlled by the Dragon Clan, it has expanded its territory and acquired many sea areas and rivers. The response from the Dragon King has more than doubled than before. Nearly half of the more than 7,000 Dragon Kings and more than 5,000 Shui Earls registered in the register have already taken refuge. The remaining Dragon Kings and Shui Earls are also waiting and watching. After all, they still dare not do it due to the power of heaven. Provoked. A. With the addition of these Dragon Kings and Water Uncles, the number of shrimp soldiers and crab generals in the entire sea area alone has reached 600,000. If you include fish spirits and fish monsters, there are more than 3 million. As for the top ones who have successfully transformed into dragons, the masters have nearly 1,000, but the number of high-end combat powers such as 5-clawed golden dragon and 6-clawed golden dragon is still very low. There are only a few of us. Ao Guang, the former Dragon King of the East China Sea, slowly reported that during the days when Prime Minister Turtle was away, he was also responsible for taking care of the situation in the sea area. When he heard that there were more than 7,000 Dragon Kings on the list, Bao Qing smiled faintly and said to himself that when the Heavenly Court first set up positions, even the biggest wells were guarded by Dragon Kings. No wonder there were so many. The Dragon King. However, half of these Dragon Kings have defected to him, which is still very good news. After all, those who can be called Dragon Kings are basically talented people who can be cultivated. If he can control these Dragon Kings well, he will be able to build a huge underwater empire with the water as the background in an instant. Yes, I didn't expect that Sihaiban has developed so fast without knowing it. How is the implementation of the 9-year spiritual education? What is the effect? Bao Qing shrugged his shoulders, turned the report book to the chapter on 9 years of compulsory training, and began to browse quickly. Prime Minister Gui and Si Bukchiang and others on the side quickly moved forward and pricked up their ears. They were still very curious about the results of 9 years of cultivation and education, a groundbreaking feat. Hearing this, the former Dragon King of the East China Sea, Ao Guang, immediately showed a thick smile. Lord Dragon King, you don't know, before the 9-year practice education was promoted, the knowledge of the practice of many monsters in our entire 4 seas coast was it just depends on understanding, and there will be a little communication occasionally. Basically, the time of transformation is more than a few hundred years. After hundreds of years of understanding the way of heaven and martial arts, plus absorbing the essence of the sun and the moon, this only then can I transform into a monster. Since the implementation of the 9-year training education, basically many fish spirits and fish monsters do not need hundreds of years to transform. It often takes several years, and even some giant fish can transform directly in just a few days. Now, there is an endless stream of people who want to participate in the 9-year spiritual education. They all sign up one after another and want to successfully transform. Ao Guang and I even sent people to do statistics. After the 9-year spiritual education is implemented, the time it takes for these fishes to transform has been shortened by at least 10 times. Many fish from other waters, after hearing about what happened here, came to seek refuge and want to participate in the 9-year training education. Having said this, Ao Guang himself couldn't help but straighten his back, very excited and excited. When has the seaside been treated like this? Countless fish came to seek refuge. Good. Bao Qing lowered his head and glanced at the report. There were more than 400,000 fish that had successfully transformed this week alone, which was more than the number of fish that had transformed in the 4 seas in the past tens of thousands of years. I think these monsters also just like human beings, they all need guidance from famous teachers and the teaching of spiritual knowledge to be faster. His idea has been verified. Then Dragon King, what should we do next? Ao Guang asked. Looking at the vibrant Sihiban, Ao Guang devoted himself to work in the development of Sihiban. Expand the scope of the 9-year spiritual education and cover all the coasts of the world first. Bo Qing thought for a while. As for resources and money, Bao Qing is not worried. After all, there is nothing in the world, and money and resources are nothing at all. Yes, Ao Guang agreed excitedly, looking extremely excited. Next, Ao Guang and Ao Qing discussed Sihiban's next policies and plans. Basically, they all revolved around increasing troops and accumulating resources. However, Nao Qing, Ao Guang, Prime Minister Gui and others did not know how long this discussion would last. When the discussion was over and Ao Guang and Prime Minister Gui rushed to implement it, even Nao Qing, who was already at the quasi-sage level, felt a little tired, seriously exhausted mentally. It was only now that Dao Qing deeply realized how difficult it was to manage a country, but it had to be said that he still felt a great sense of accomplishment after trying so hard to manage a declining dragon clan like this. In the next few days, Nao Qing quickly sent Prime Minister Turtle and his people to various sea areas to recruit all the dragon kings. If they were unwilling to surrender, they would be destroyed directly. His water empire plan must be implemented quickly, otherwise there will be fewer opportunities after the catastrophe of conferring gods. It has to be said that the efficiency of Prime Minister Turtle is still very high. The Dragon Kings faced Prime Minister Turtle and had no power to attack him. They all surrendered one after another, and then were included in the territory of Bao Qing. The whole process was basically a crushing attitude. Facing the menacing shores of the four seas, many Dragon Kings did not even dare to resist and surrendered directly. In the next week, basically all the Dragon Kings from all sea areas and rivers took refuge in Sihiban. They bowed to Chen Chen and called Ao Qing the Dragon King. The territory of Sihiban also expanded 3 times. There are many. Basically, the place where there is a river is the place under the jurisdiction of Yaoqing. However, it is very troublesome to manage such a huge territory. Fortunately, Bo Qing has systematic help. The Dragon Kings who come to seek refuge are all 100 loyal. He does not need to worry about the Dragon Kings rebelling, but he will have more jurisdiction over the Dragon Kings in various places. It's just systematization and centralization. Fortunately, Bao Qing had learned some management stuff, otherwise, dealing with these Dragon Kings would be really troublesome. In the end, on the surface, the shores of the four seas remained the same as before. In fact, Yaoqing had completed the reform of a water empire. The Dragon Kings everywhere were like princes, with a certain degree of autonomy. However, large and small government affairs still needs to be handled by the think tank here at Yaoqing. In addition, personnel transfers, military expenditures, etc. are also controlled and distributed by Sihiban, thus completely completing a high degree of control and centralization of the entire underwater empire. To this end, Yaoqing also established a special agency to handle local government affairs, the East China Sea Dragon Palace, under the leadership of Ao Guang and Prime Minister Gui. Of course, the complete control of Bao Qing means that he, Bao Qing, is the emperor of a water empire. The various orders of heaven are completely useless, and he is completely separated from heaven. He will no longer be a dog to heaven, and heaven will be there at any time. Sanctions may be launched against Yaoqing. At first, the elders of various dragon clans were a little worried. After all, the power of heaven was inviolable, and heaven would definitely take action against the dragon clans of the four seas. But soon, the elders of the dragon clan were surprised to find that after several days, there was no sign of heaven action. There were also some small and powerful monsters who saw that there was nothing wrong with proclaiming the emperor on the shores of the four seas, so they all proclaimed themselves emperors. However, the heavenly court sent heavenly soldiers and generals to defeat them the next day. For a moment, no demon clan dared to proclaim the emperor like Yaoqing, as if they had acquiesced to Sihiban's actions, allowing Yaoqing to truly proclaim himself the emperor. In this regard, some of the big guys from the forces have sent their juniors to inquire about the news, trying to find out what heaven is saying. After all, the dragon clan on the shores of the four seas has broken away from the rule of heaven, but heaven has not taken any action. This is really suspicious. There are also some powerful leaders who believe that the reason why Heavenly Court did not take action against Seeheiben is just because Heavenly Court was dispatching troops and generals, and that when the time comes, it will directly destroy the entire Seeheiben. Anyway, all the big guys have different opinions on this matter. As for Tianting, who had never been afraid or worried about it, he had an indifferent attitude from beginning to end. He knew very well that Tianting was too busy dealing with the great tribulation of the gods, so how could he care about the shores of the four seas? What's more, the shores of the four seas are no longer the shores of the four seas before. He still hopes that the heaven will take action to help him change the luck of the dragon clan. No. 8. Yuan Shi Tianzun was shocked. And just on the shores of the four seas, while the dragon emperor Yao Qing's water empire was developing steadily, Shen Gongbao, who had already become Yao Qing's loyal subordinate, stepped on an auspicious cloud and came to Yushu Palace in Kunlun Mountain. At this moment, above the 33rd heaven, there is Kunlun Mountain and Yushu Palace. As one of the three major temples and the dojo of Yuanshi Tianzun, Yushu Palace is very luxurious and magnificent, with an ethereal fairy spirit and white clouds, giving it a sense of paradise. At this time, outside Yushu Palace, the disciples who had just listened to Yuanshi Tianzun's sermons came out in a loud voice, and the noise broke the peace of the entire Yushu Palace. As one of the three saints, even though Yuanshi Tianzun's famous disciples only have 12 golden immortals, in fact, Yuanshi Tianzun has many disciples, no less than thousands, and these thousands of people are spread throughout the mythical world, just like Yuanshi Tianzun's eyes and ears. It was precisely with the help of these terrifying number of disciples, plus the 12 golden immortals, that Yuanshi Tianzun established his transcendent status. However, if there are careful people here at this moment, they will definitely be shocked to find that the atmosphere of Yushu Palace at this time is different from usual, far less happy than before. Even the disciples are frowning, privately they even whispered to each other. The reason for this is very simple. That is, the fact that the Dragon Emperor Yao Qing came to Kunlun Mountain from the shores of the four seas spread among countless disciples, especially the list of gods fell into the hands of the Dragon Emperor Yao Qing, and the magic weapon of the 12 golden immortals was exhausted. The loss made the disciples feel even more shameless. They didn't expect that the small shore of the four seas would rise so fast. Even the Dragon Emperor Yao Qing dared to act recklessly in Kunlun Mountain. Hey, tell me, what kind of backer does the Dragon King on the shores of the world have? Even the Holy Lord Yuanshi Tianzun doesn't dare to take action easily. Yes, the Holy Lord has always been fearless. What kind of backer makes him so afraid? I didn't expect that the small dragon clan would become so powerful invisibly. The disciples were whispering to each other and discussing in a corner. But just as they said this, senior brother Guangchengji walked over with an angry look on his face. The cultivation tasks assigned to you by the Holy Lord have been completed. The disciples quickly dispersed, but in their eyes the suspicion became even deeper. Looking at the disciples leaving, senior brother Guangchengji's eyes darkened, and a trace of anger flashed through his eyes. As one of the 12 golden immortals and the senior brother of Yushu Temple, Guangchengji had never been provoked and attacked like this. The magical weapons Fanshan seal and male and female swords that Qinshan had worked so hard to accumulate directly became someone else's, causing his own combat effectiveness to drop by an unknown amount. Guangchengji felt so angry when he thought of the Dragon King boiling the green tea that he wanted to tear it into pieces immediately. While Guangchengji was thinking this, Shen Gongbao had quietly walked out of Yushu Palace. When Guangchengji saw Shen Gongbao, his eyes lit up and he quickly followed him. No one is more curious about the origins of Dragon Emperor Yao Qing than him. At this moment, in the Yushu Palace, the huge dojo was empty. Yuanshi Tianzun was sitting quietly on a futon, his eyes flashing with a complex color. When he heard the footsteps of Shen Gongbao, his eyes immediately followed. One light. Shen Gongbao was the undercover agent he placed beside Nao Qing. Yuanshi Tianzun really wanted to know who this Nao Qing was. Shen Gongbao, you're here. Tell me quickly, who is the Dragon King on the coast of the four seas? Tell me what you have seen and heard. Before Yuanshi Tianzun could speak, Guangchengji came, asked impatiently. Yuanshi Tianzun nodded slightly, indicating that Shen Gongbao could continue. It's a pity that poor Yuanshi Tianzun has no idea that Shen Gongbao has already become a young man at this time. Yes, Holy Lord, Shen Gongbao slightly raised his hand and told what he saw and heard in a more embellished manner. When they heard that there were training academies and martial arts arenas all over the shores of the four seas, Yuan Shi Tianzun and Guang Chengji looked at each other in shock. Their eyes were filled with surprise. They didn't expect that the Dragon King's idea of becoming a young man was so advanced. Immediately afterwards, Shen Gongbao made a little artistic processing of the transformed fish spirits, fish monsters, evolved shrimps, soldiers and crab generals on the shores of the four seas, and told them to the two of them. The two of them refused to listen. The more they listened, the more horrified and surprised they became. Their original impressions of the Four Seas coast were limited to the period of the Dragon King of the East China Sea. They all seemed to have reacquainted themselves with the Dragon Clan of the Four Seas coast. Even their moods felt as if they had been there forever. Yuan Shi Tianzun, who was generally calm, subconsciously opened his mouth and couldn't believe what he was seeing. In short, after listening to Shen Gongbao's report, Yuan Shi Tianzun can be more sure that there is definitely not a very powerful background platform behind the shores of the Four Seas, and it is probably an unprecedentedly powerful background platform. After that, Yuan Shi Tianzun asked Shen Gongbao some details, and then asked Shen Gongbao to quickly return to Dragon Emperor Aoking. As soon as Shen Gongbao on the front foot left, Yuan Shi Tianzun on the back foot fell on Guang Chengji. Guang Chengji, what do you think should be done? Holy Lord, although the conferred gods list is currently in the hands of Dragon Emperor Yao Qing, the people on the conferred gods list are all chosen by heaven and cannot be changed. Therefore, even if Yao Qing owns the conferred gods list, it will not affect the overall situation. I think, we are currently in the process of selecting new candidates to be conferred as gods. Of course, in order to prevent the Dragon Emperor from becoming a god and causing damage, we can give some of the benefits of being a god to the Dragon Emperor. For example, we can let his subordinates, Prime Minister Turtle, Ao Guang and others become orthodox immortal gods after the Great Tribulation of the gods, have some real power, and share some benefits equally with Bao Qing. I believe he will not refuse. Guang Chengji, after thinking for a while, he said. Hearing this, Yuan Shi Tianzun frowned slightly, and couldn't help but feel a little physical pain in his heart. In order to carry out the plan of becoming a god, he has already given up an unknown amount of benefits to Taisheng Laojun. Now if he gives up part of his benefits to Bao Qing, he may not have much left. However, if Ao Qing blocks them, their plan to become gods may not go ahead. That's all we have to do. Yuan Shi Tianzun took a deep breath. The power of the Dragon Clan has exceeded his imagination. Fighting with such a force can only be a snipe and a clam, and the fishermen will benefit. Then we will execute it as planned. Guang Chengji took a deep breath and was about to leave Yushu Palace. Suddenly, Yuan Shi Tianzun seemed to feel something, and his face changed slightly. Immediately afterwards, Guang Chengji also felt something, his face changed slightly, and he looked towards the shore of the world in surprise. The reason for their sudden change of expression is very simple, that is, a powerful imperial destiny has risen from the sky, which means that a powerful country will be born. The Dragon King has become a young man and established a country. This disciple of Yuan Shi Tianzun, Guang Chengji, was once the master of the human Yellow Emperor. He taught the Yellow Emperor how to build a country. It can be said that he is very sensitive to the atmosphere of the country. He could clearly feel that just for a moment, an imperial destiny that was not weaker than that of the Yin Shang dynasty surged straight into the sky and shook the entire Yushu Palace in Kunlun Mountain. The face of Yuan Shi Tianzun on the side also changed continuously, and his eyes flashed with complicated expressions. In this mythical world, not everyone is lucky enough to build a country. For example, the two brothers Dongwang Tai and Dijin, the leaders of the demon clan, relied on Dongwang Zhongcaishan, one of the 10 greatest artifacts. Then the heavenly court was established, and the demon country based on the heavenly court was established. Chapter 91. In the era of the 3 sovereigns and the 5 emperors of the human race, each one relied on great fortunes to successfully establish a country, which has been passed down to the Yin and Shang era. Often when dynasties are established and changed, heaven and earth will reveal something, and visions will appear. The greater the vision, the more terrifying the country's future may be, and its potential is unlimited. Just like when King Wu of Zhou Jifa left the Yin and Shang dynasties and established the Zhou dynasty, he was greeted by hundreds of birds and led by phoenixes. The appearance of the current vision can only mean one thing, that is, Dragon Emperor Yao Qing has also established a country, and the luck of this country is so strong that even the 33rd heaven is shaking. I didn't expect that Bo Qing actually founded the country. It seems that he is not just satisfied with just ruling the coast of the world. Yuan Shi Tianzun frowned. If Bo Qing founded the country, he would most likely not cooperate with them. After all, once Yao Qing establishes a water empire, it is not impossible to overthrow the rule of heaven, so why use the gods of gods list to confer gods? Of course, Yuan Shi Tianzun also knows deeply that although the current power in heaven is weak and at the mercy of others, it is not so easy to be overthrown. I didn't expect Dragon Emperor Yao Qing to actually establish a country. He actually dared to establish a country under the nose of heaven. Even a fool knows this. It is clear that he is going to heaven. Guangchengji frowned slightly. When the Yellow Emperor, the ancestor of the human race, established the country, the heaven almost brought disasters and destroyed mankind because he challenged the majesty of the heaven. Then, Holy Lord, what should we do now? For a moment, Guangchengji didn't even know what to do. When Bao Qing establishes a country, that is, a water empire, he will inevitably encounter some troubles. We can just take this opportunity to lend a helping hand and win over Bao Qing. Yuan Shi Tianzun suddenly grinned and thought of a way. Hearing the words of the Holy Lord, Guangchengji's eyes lit up, and he thought that he was indeed a top mythological figure who had existed since the dawn of time. This calculation could be called a monster. Not far from Yushu Palace in Kunlun Mountain. It is also the 33rd heaven, one of the three major temples, the Luotian Bajing Palace. At this moment in the 8th Scenery Palace, Taisheng Laojun, one of the three saints, was sitting quietly on a futon, seriously and attentively preaching to the disciples in front of him. Road to road, very avenue. The disciples below were listening with extra seriousness and hard work, especially Master Xuandu in the first row and Taisheng Laojun, who sat in the first battle force, listened with great concentration. As one of the three great saints, in this great catastrophe of the conferred gods, he joined forces with Yuan Shi Tianzun to fight against the Tongtian cult leader. Taisheng Laojun was also helpless. Who allowed him to use the only talent available to him? The only one who could use it was Master Xuandu. Looking at the useless disciples in front of him, Taisheng Laojun felt a little depressed for a moment. Suddenly, Taisheng Laojun, who had been preaching, suddenly stopped, and a pair of deep eyes fell on the 33rd heaven. The Xuandu Archmage also seemed to feel something, and he fiercely looked at the 33rd heaven. Looking under the heavy sky. This was the first time that the disciples saw such an expression on the Supreme Patriarch. For a moment, they all speculated about what happened. Unfortunately, with the cultivation and abilities of these disciples, they could not feel it at all. What? However, among the disciples, a bull demon named Bull Demon King suddenly flashed his eyes and felt something. The eyes of Princess Iron Fan on the side also changed continuously. Compared to human disciples, these monster disciples have sharper facial features, and the gods can sense them earlier. The Dragon Emperor has survived, and actually established a country. Taisheng Laojun said softly, and the faint sound suddenly exploded among the disciples. Isn't Yao Qing a demon dragon? The demon dragon actually founded the country. I think there were some demon leaders who led the founding of the country, such as Emperor Jun and Dongwang Tai, but their endings were not very good. No matter what, if you dare to build a country, Dragon Emperor Yao Qing is a difficult character to deal with. Haven't you heard that even Yuan Shi Tianzun almost lost to Dragon Emperor Yao Qing? Is the Dragon King so powerful? Just as the disciples were talking about each other, an unprecedented depth flashed in the corner of Taisheng Laojun's eyes. What should I do? To put it bluntly, the Great Tribulation of the Gods is a super large event to compete for power under the guise of country change. According to the original plan, the Zhou dynasty will replace the Yin and Shang dynasties, and the major generals and generals of the Zhou dynasty will be ranked according to their military merit. Become a god and go to heaven. Now, another country has emerged from the sky, the water empire of the Dragon King Zhou Qing. This is unclear. Will it completely disrupt the original plan of the conferred god tribulation? It is a barren land in the west far away from the 8 Views Palace of the 33rd heaven. Taoist Jia Yin and Dao Bodhi, who were working hard to spread Western sects, all stopped at this moment, and their horrified eyes fell in the direction of the shores of the four seas. How King founded the country. Taoist Jayin sensed it for a long time, and then opened his mouth wide, with a look of disbelief on his face. What, Zhengguo? This is really a God-given opportunity. The Bodhi Taoist on the side was extremely excited. Originally, the two of them planned to take advantage of the great catastrophe of conferring gods to recruit and deceive many people who explained and intercepted the religion to come over, thereby strengthening their Western religion. Now that the Dragon Emperor has established his country, he has interfered in this great catastrophe to destroy the great tribulation of the gods, and their Western religion can take advantage of the chaos to develop. Jia Yin, I admire you more and more now. You did not make a mistake in wooing the Dragon King Aoqing from the shores of the world. In this regard, he will definitely help us in the West build a Western paradise. Taoist Bodhi smiled slightly. They must be missing a state religion, right? The Taoist leader smiled, and his eyes flashed with an unnoticeable depth. In the great tribulation of the gods, the more chaotic the better, their Western religion can take advantage of this opportunity to develop rapidly. Moreover, they could have taken advantage of the time when they were still young to establish the country and make their Western religion the state religion and skyrocket. Throughout the ages, many sects have soared into the sky after becoming the state religion. And just when the entire mythical world was shaken by the establishment of a country by Zhou Qing. At this moment, Bao Qing, surrounded by the dragon clan elders such as Ao Guang, the Dragon King of the East China Sea, holding something similar to a jade seal in his hand, slowly walked to the temporarily built high platform, preparing to accept the title of emperor. This emperor is not as simple as the Dragon Emperor, but the emperor in charge of the entire country, the emperor of the Demon Clan. After subduing the dragon kings of the major waters and rivers and successfully establishing the national system, Dao Qing chose a good day to establish the country. The ceremony he is performing now is the ceremony of founding a country. Although he cannot be like many human emperors, he can become an emperor recognized by heaven by conferring Zen on Mount Tai, but he can still make himself an emperor on the shores of the four seas. From now on, there will no longer be shores of the four seas, and there will no longer be major sea areas. There will only be an empire of water, an empire of dragons, and a kingdom of dragons. Bao Qing held the imperial seal in his hand and said loudly. As soon as he finished speaking, all the elders of the Dragon Clan were extremely excited, with tears glistening in their eyes. The Qilin clan on the side also had red eyes and tears. In fact, they are a little worried about Nao Qing proclaiming himself emperor. After all, this means that he is completely in opposition to heaven. You must know that once he proclaims himself emperor, his status will be no less than that of heaven's emperor. Heaven will treat the shores of the four seas take action. However, seeing that even after such a long time, the heavenly court had not taken any action, the elders of the Dragon Clan gradually felt relieved and followed Bao Qing to directly establish the country. No, now that they see Nao Qing walking up to the Fengchan platform and about to proclaim himself emperor, one can imagine their inner feelings. You know, once this country is established, no one will dare to look down on their Dragon Clan, and the Dragon Clan will completely become the most glorious race among all races. Whoever dares to insult the Dragon Clan from now on will face the power of the entire Dragon Clan country. From now on, there will be no more coasts and no major sea areas. There will only be an empire of water, an empire of dragons, and a kingdom of dragons. From now on, there will be no more coasts and no major sea areas. There will only be an empire of water, an empire of dragons, and a kingdom of dragons. From now on, there will be no more coasts and no major sea areas. There will only be an empire of water, an empire of dragons, and a kingdom of dragons. From now on, there will be no more coasts and no major sea areas. There will only be an empire of water, an empire of dragons, and a kingdom of dragons. Ao Guang, Prime Minister Gui and others said excitedly in unison, their voices booming like thunder, deafening. Just after finishing speaking, Ao Guang hurriedly stepped forward, brought the dragon robe and dragon crown that had been prepared in front of Nao Qing, and carefully put them on for him. After a while, Nao Qing was wearing a dragon robe and a dragon crown, and he looked even more majestic and domineering. Su Daji, who was standing behind Nao Qing, saw Nao Qing wearing a dragon robe for the first time. For a moment, she was directly fascinated by Nao Qing's handsome face and stayed where she was, like a little fangirl, generally. It fits, quite well. Prime Minister Gui, Ao Guang and others saw Nao Qing wearing a dragon robe for the first time, and they couldn't help but grin and praise him. And when Nao Qing put on the dragon robe and crown, he clearly felt the difference. It was as if the entire country was under his control, and it felt very wonderful. Next, there is the complicated sacrificial process. Although Nao Qing is unwilling to follow these complicated procedures, he has to follow them. When the last procedure was completed, a faint imperial aura instantly appeared around Nao Qing, stirring up and down. Ao Guang, Prime Minister Gui and others felt the imperial aura, and they all had strong feelings in their hearts. Feeling of surrender, they all knelt on the ground with a plop. Congratulations to my emperor for establishing the Dragon Kingdom. Unifying the three realms is just around the corner. Congratulations to my emperor for establishing the Dragon Kingdom. Unifying the three realms is just around the corner. Congratulations to my emperor for establishing the Dragon Kingdom. Unifying the three realms is just around the corner. Comma. Congratulations to my emperor for establishing the Dragon Kingdom. Unifying the three realms is just around the corner. Prime Minister Turtle and others knelt on the ground, shouting excitedly, their eyes filled with tears. God knows how long they had been waiting for this day. Seeing everyone's excitement, Yao Qing quickly asked them to get up. The next moment, a pleasant reminder sounded in his ears. Congratulations, you successfully established a country and established the Dragon Kingdom. Your dragon luck has improved. Your dragon luck has increased by 50 points. You have gained 5 evolution points which can be allocated to yourself. You have gained 5 evolution points can be assigned to subordinates. Your national rating has been improved. It has been upgraded to C level. You have won the founding gift package. Your Taoism has improved. It has improved for 5,000 years. Your merit has improved. It has increased by 2,000 points. Your status has been elevated. Promoted to the Emperor of the Dragon Kingdom. Commanding thousands of seas. Listening to the pleasant reminders that kept coming to his ears, Bao Qing was stunned at first, and then overjoyed. He didn't expect that the system's rewards for founding a country would be so powerful. If he had known it, he would have established a country earlier. Not to mention anything else, just these 5,000 years of Taoism, 2,000 points of merit, and 50 points of dragon luck are not easy to accumulate. You must know that these 5,000 years of Taoism alone are equivalent to 5,000 years of hard work by the monks. Counting these 5,000 years of Taoism, his current Taoism is at least more than 20,000 years old. Ignoring the merits and luck of the Dragon Clan, Bao Qing focused all his attention on the Founding the Nation gift package, rewarded by the system. The last gift package directly gave him an East China Sea Dragon Palace with heaven-defying attributes. He didn't know that this time what will be given to him. While he was thinking, a sweet voice sounded again, you opened the founding gift package. You have obtained the building, East China Sea Dragon Palace SSS level, large. You have obtained the building, Dragon Temple SSS level. You have obtained the building, Dragon Altar SSS level. You have obtained the building, Dragon Gate SSS level. You have obtained the building, Dragon Temple SSS level. You got ore 1000. You got glazed tiles 1000. Comma. Countless pleasant voices came, and Bao Qing was stunned at first, and then overjoyed. He didn't expect that the gifts given in this founding gift package were so generous. Although they were all buildings, the SSS level said it all. To this day, he still remembers the heaven-defying attributes of the East China Sea Dragon Palace. Quickly, Ao Qing set his sights on the East China Sea Dragon Palace SSS level, large, and saw that the properties of the East China Sea Dragon Palace are as follows. East China Sea Dragon Palace SSS level, large. It is the ultimate dragon palace, no less than the Yunxiao Palace of the Jade Emperor in later generations. Under this dragon palace, anyone's cultivation speed is increased by 300%, and enemies whose Taoism is lower than the user's can have a loyalty of 100 and be forced to become the user's subordinate. The terrifying properties of the 8th object. Movements in heaven. His eyes fell on the heaven-defying attributes of the East China Sea Dragon Palace SSS level, large, and Bao Qing took a breath of cold air. Compared with the attributes of the East China Sea Dragon Palace that were gifted before, I don't know how much these attributes are beyond the heavens. Just the 300% practice speed is enough to prove everything. However, what makes Yao Qing like it even more is the attribute of forcibly turning others into his subordinates. Doesn't this mean that anyone who comes to the East China Sea Dragon Palace with lower moral standards than him can become his subordinates? The properties of the East China Sea Dragon Palace are so unbelievable, so what about the properties of other buildings? Bao Qing looked down again curiously, a pair of sharp eyes flashing with deep light. Dragon Temple SSS level. It is a religious place where the Dragon clan worships and establishes the Dragon religion. Practicing here will increase the Dragon clan's practice speed by 200%, increase their comprehension by 300%, and increase the Dragon clan's chance of successful evolution by 50%. As expected of the Dragon Temple, Bao Qing took another deep breath. He didn't expect that this Dragon Temple could actually increase the chance of dragon evolution, and thus more powerful golden dragons could be born. Next, Bao Qing checked the attributes of the Dragon Altar, Dragon Gate, and Dragon Clan Temple. Dragon Altar SSS level. It is a sacred place for dragons to offer sacrifices and pray. Here, dragons can improve their understanding by 300%, and have a certain chance of evolving into mutated dragons, or advancing to more powerful ones. The pinnacle of advanced existence. Dragon Gate SSS level. Any carp spirit, dragon, etc. that has the ability to transform into a dragon can practice under the Dragon Gate and transform into a dragon and ascend. Dragon Clan Temple SSS level. It can be practiced by the Dragon Clan elders, and they can evolve into 5-clawed golden dragons to increase the number of Dragon Clan's cutting-edge combat power. It has to be said that whether it is the Dragon Altar, the Dragon Gate, or the Dragon Clan Temple, its properties are no less than those of the East China Sea Dragon Palace and Dragon Temple. Especially the Dragon Gate is specially prepared for those carp spirits and dragons who can transform into dragons, can make them transform into dragons in an instant. As for the Dragon Clan Temple, it is directly prepared to enhance the Dragon Clan's cutting-edge combat power. It is indeed a great gift package for the founding of the country. All departmental palaces are fully equipped at once, and they also have heaven-defying properties. Taking his eyes back from the properties of each building, Yao Qing couldn't help but grin, showing a thick smile. Originally, he was worried that after the founding of the People's Republic of China, many buildings would need to be prepared and built. But now it seems that he is overly worried. This system, as always, displays its caring demeanor. Without hesitation, Yao Qing directly chose to use it. You have opened the building. East China Sea Dragon Palace SSS level. Large. Please choose a suitable place to build. You have opened the building. Dragon Temple SSS level. Please choose a suitable place to build. You have opened the building. Dragon Altar SSS level. Please choose a suitable place to build. You have opened the building. Gantry SSS level. Please choose a suitable place to build. You have opened the building. Dragon Temple SSS level. Please choose a suitable place to build. A series of pleasant prompts came, and Bao Qing followed the system prompts and directly selected suitable places for construction of the East China Sea Dragon Palace, Dragon Temple, Dragon Altar, etc. It is indeed a product produced by the system and must be a high-quality product. Following the thought of Zhou Qing, accompanied by thunderous rumbling sounds, countless majestic buildings rose up out of thin air in an instant, as if they were born out of the sky. At this moment, the former Dragon King of the East China Sea Guang, Prime Minister Turtle and others were bowing obediently. When they heard the sound, they subconsciously raised their heads, their eyes flashing with strong vigilance. But soon, the vigilance in their eyes was replaced by shock and horror. In their horrified eyes, countless majestic buildings crashed down and were built one by one. In just a few breaths, several majestic halls appeared around the originally empty East China Sea Dragon Palace. As for the East China Sea Dragon Palace itself, there was a flash of light and it became huge by an unknown amount. From a distance, it was spectacular, and it felt like coming to the Yunshao Palace to meet the Jade Emperor. This is what happened? What on earth is going on? Ao Guang, Prime Minister Gui and others were stunned. Naturally, they did not know that there was a systematic existence of Yao Qing. They only felt that everything in front of them seemed to be beyond their imagination. But soon, Prime Minister Turtle reacted. This is the way of heaven, and it has agreed to let our dragon emperor be the emperor. Otherwise, there would not be so many miracles. This is all a gift from heaven. The way of heaven, the building given. As soon as Prime Minister Gui finished speaking, Ao Guang and others were stunned at first, and then became excited and excited. They all thought that what Prime Minister Gui said made sense. Long live the Dragon King, unify the three realms. Long live the Dragon King, unify the three realms. Long live the Dragon King, unify the three realms. At that moment, waves of deafening voices shouted in unison, and Prime Minister Turtle and others bowed to the ground respectfully, their eyes filled with red color. Once upon a time, the situation of their dragon clan was so miserable. Now even Li Guo is protected by heaven and has been given so many treasures. The dragon clan in the future will be anything but ordinary. Suddenly, Prime Minister Turtle and others became more determined to follow the Dragon King to achieve success. When Zhou Qing was letting Prime Minister Gui and others stand up, another pleasant reminder suddenly sounded. Congratulations, Prime Minister Gui's loyalty to you has been increased to 120 points. You have reached the point where you will not hesitate to die, and you must be loyal to every reincarnation. Congratulations, Ao Guang's loyalty to you has been increased to 120 points. When the time comes. Congratulations, Ao Bing's loyalty to you has been increased to 120 points. When the time comes. Congratulations, CB Yu Shang, your loyalty has been raised to 120 points. When the time comes. Congratulations, Feng Wo Mo Qilin. The pleasant sounds coming from his ears made Bao Qing first stunned and then overjoyed. Unexpectedly, these people were like Shen Gongbao, whose loyalty directly exceeded 100 points. It seemed that the matter of buildings falling from the sky, the impact it had on them was quite big. But if you think about it carefully, Bao Qing thinks that people in this world believe more in visions of heaven and earth. When he proclaimed himself emperor, so many majestic and spectacular buildings appeared out of thin air. No matter who he was, he felt that he was following the right person. Soon, the final ceremony of the founding of the country was completed. It must be said that the process was very cumbersome. And just when Bao Qing was about to return to the East China Sea Dragon Palace and try out the heaven-defying properties of the new East China Sea Dragon Palace, a lobster soldier ran over in a panic. The Dragon Emperor is not in good condition. I heard that you founded a country, who Lord Deshing, Lord Red Star and other Star Lords, led by 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals, are here to capture you. When Bao Qing heard this, he grinned slightly. Heaven, have you finally taken action? No, the first battle with heaven. The first battle with heaven. At this moment, outside the East China Sea, above the sky, the darkness was filled with the heavenly soldiers and generals trampling on the white auspicious clouds. These heavenly soldiers and generals were extremely numerous and spread directly from one end of the mountain to the other end of the mountain, directly covering the entire sky, as if darkness was coming. The strong murderous aura spread out from the heavenly soldiers and generals, faintly stirring up the surroundings. Especially since there were so many heavenly soldiers and generals, their strong murderous aura made even the heaven and earth feel shaking. Don't underestimate these 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals. As the main force of the heavenly court, the heavenly soldiers and generals have helped clear away many obstacles for the heavenly court over the years. The number of demons, ghosts and monsters that have died in their hands has not been in the thousands, but in the tens of thousands. It is precisely because of this that no one dares to question the majesty of heaven easily. In front of the heavenly soldiers and generals, Lord Huadexing and Lord Red Star each held a fire and thunder magic weapon and stood in front of the teams. Behind them, there were many personal guards brought by them, one by one. He also has a strong murderous aura and is definitely not a kind person. I didn't expect that the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Bao Qing, is so brave. He actually dared to establish a country under the nose of heaven. I really don't want to live. Yeah, I really don't want to live. No, as soon as I heard about the founding of the country by Nao Qing, the Emperor of Heaven ordered me to come and capture the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Nao Qing. Lord Huodexing and Lord Red Star were talking with relaxed expressions on their faces. Even though Bao Qing is already a 9-clawed golden dragon, these 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals attack together, and their terrifying killing power cannot be stopped by ordinary gods. Even saints have to avoid the edge temporarily. In the eyes of the two of them, capturing a small East China Sea Dragon King is simply trivial. Hey, I heard that the Dragon King of the East China Sea went to the Kunlun Mountains and went to Kunlun Mountain for a lot of trouble. Even Yuan Shi Tianzun was devastated. Isn't it a bit? We rashly lead 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals to attack. At this time, a Xingjun named Tude Xingjun said with some worry. Hearing this, Huad Xingjun and Red Xingjun, who were a little informed, looked at each other in surprise. How come they hadn't heard of this? For a moment, they all felt a little chill down their spines. While several Star Lords were thinking, a faint and loud voice slowly resounded. Who on earth dares to come and harass me when I am proclaimed emperor? And he threatens to capture me. Although Bao Qing's voice was dull, when it reached everyone's ears, it roared like thunder. The rumbling sound was deafening. When those heavenly soldiers and generals heard this, they all felt that their bodies were shaky and about to fall from the white clouds. The strong murderous aura in their bodies seemed to be dissipated. How is this possible? The 3-star kings could barely resist Nao Qing's words, but their bodies were trembling slightly. However, as soon as they saw the appearance of the heavenly soldiers and generals, they knew that it was impossible for the heavenly soldiers and generals to withstand Nao Qing's sonic offensive. But what makes the 3 great star kings a little unimaginable is that who is this Bao Qing? He could almost scare away 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals with just his voice. Is this the power of the legendary 9-clawed golden dragon? Lord Red Star said in surprise. No, it is said that the Dragon King Ao Qing is now a 9-clawed mutated golden dragon, the most peak existence of the 9-clawed golden dragon. Tu De Xingjun corrected. For some reason, after he finished speaking, he started to tremble. Only the 100,000 heavenly soldiers, all of them had no fighting spirit at this moment, and their eyes were horrified. The opponent hasn't appeared yet, but just the sound has made them like this. Once they appear, it will be a big deal. Everyone is not a fool. And while several Star Lords and hundreds of thousands of heavenly soldiers and generals were thinking, suddenly, the entire sky dimmed, and a huge body with a length of more than 1,000 feet suddenly revealed its figure. That huge body was so huge that even the hundreds of thousands of heavenly soldiers and generals gathered together in Wuyangyang were much smaller than his body, like elephants and ants. Especially when the terrifying power of thunder and lightning filled the surroundings of the huge body and enveloped the entire sky, the hundreds of thousands of heavenly soldiers and generals were shocked to discover what kind of monster appeared in front of them. This is the Dragon Emperor Zuaoking. It's too powerful. The heavenly soldiers and generals only felt that Mount Tai was overwhelming them, making it difficult to breathe. Their eyes flashed with deep shock, and the expressions of the 3-star kings changed drastically. They had never seen such a huge dragon before. And the next moment, Ao Qing suddenly moved, running like lightning, with sharp and huge dragon claws, instantly turning countless heavenly soldiers and generals into fluffy blood mist, and those heavenly soldiers and generals, let alone attacks, where he has no fighting spirit, so he can only run away in embarrassment. As soon as Bao Qing made a move, the shrimp soldiers and crab generals below also started to take action. A clanging sound was heard, and countless sharp flying swords flew out of the waves one by one without any warning. He ran straight towards the 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals, as fast as lightning. The next moment, a shocking scene happened, that is, waves of more than 100 feet were violently set off on the coast of the East China Sea. In the waves, shrimp soldiers and crab generals trampled on flying swords, and were protected by countless flying swords. Out, in a very far place, controlling the flying sword. Such a magnificent scene once again stunned the commanders Shide Xingjun, Red Star Lord and Toot Star Lord. This giant dragon of more than 1,000 feet was already so terrifying. These shrimp soldiers and crab generals. They had never seen it before. Such a weird way of fighting. Control the flying sword and kill enemies from 1,000 meters away. And the moment they were stunned, countless sharp flying swords had already harvested the lives of many heavenly soldiers and generals, turning them into a puff of blood mist. Of course, despite the large number of shrimp soldiers and crab generals, the number of heavenly soldiers and generals killed is much less than that of Zhou Qing. Every time Zhou Qing takes action, at least thousands of shrimp soldiers and crab generals will die. It was not until this moment that the 3 Star Kings reacted and quickly commanded 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals to fight. It's a pity that they were in a panic when commanding the battle. The Dragon Emperor had already killed many heavenly soldiers and generals before he took action. Countless heavenly soldiers and generals fell directly from the sky like cutting wheat. And down, their blood was all along the way. The Dragon King is worthy of being the Dragon King, and we cannot be left behind. The leader who commanded the shrimp soldiers and crab generals was an extremely huge and burly crab general who was stepping on flying swords. As he spoke, he controlled the flying swords flying in the sky and took away the heads of many heavenly soldiers and generals. There is almost no heavenly soldier or general who can block his move. As the Dragon King Ao Qing opened the way, countless shrimp soldiers and crab generals followed, all using flying swords to slaughter the heavenly soldiers. Above the sky, the 3 Star Kings in charge were shocked when they saw this. Their faces were full of despair, and they all felt a little regretful that they had come to the shores of the world in such a hurry for the sake of military exploits. No, is the coast of the East China Sea so powerful? These shrimp soldiers and crab generals are too strong, aren't they? Especially when the Dragon King becomes green, it's terrible. Yeah, it's simply ridiculously strong. As this is still the weak East China Sea coast before. Isn't it said that the East China Sea Dragon clan is bullied by others? Seeing that more and more heavenly soldiers and generals were dying around them, many heavenly soldiers and generals were on the verge of collapse and had no fighting spirit at all, and they all talked about it. At the moment when the shrimp soldiers came with flying swords, they were almost dumbfounded. They could not have imagined that the shore of the East China Sea was so terrifying, especially the Dragon Emperor. With that claw, thousands of people were thrown directly. Fall. The devil knows what happened. Anyway, I'm going to run away. If you stay here, just wait to be killed. One of the heavenly soldiers said with some depression, turned around and stepped on Shangyan to leave. Originally, when this heavenly soldier heard that the Dragon Emperor Ao Qing, who was on the shore of the 4 seas, wanted to found a country and they were going to conquer it, he thought he could take this opportunity to achieve some military exploits and be promoted to a minor official. However, he did not expect that the people on the shore of the 4 seas would actually to be so powerful, especially the Dragon Emperor Ao Qing. Who would have thought that the shores of the 4 seas, which they thought were carefree in their eyes, would now be so powerful? Upon seeing this, the other heavenly soldiers also fled the battlefield one after another, without any fighting spirit at all. Everyone is not a fool. Sihibin has become more powerful than they expected. If they don't run away, they will have to wait for death if they stay here. Want to run. When Ao Qing saw that the heavenly soldiers and generals were defeated, many of the heavenly soldiers wanted to escape, and immediately a dragon claw struck them, directly taking away the lives of many of the heavenly soldiers and generals. It has to be said that the Battle of Zhou was very enjoyable and very satisfying. As for the shrimp soldiers and crab generals on the side, their eyes were all red. Once upon a time, they, the shrimp soldiers and crab generals, were like ants in front of the heavenly soldiers and generals. It was a great blessing to be able to say a word. But now, the once arrogant heavenly soldiers and generals were defeated in such an embarrassing manner in their own hands. You can imagine how they feel. Puff. Amidst the blood, many heavenly soldiers and generals fell, falling directly from the sky, and they could no longer die. Don't run. With star lords like us here, what are you afraid of? Seeing that the heavenly soldiers and generals had no intention of fighting, the 3 Star Kings all spoke quickly to stabilize the morale of the troops. It's a pity that the Dragon Emperor appeared in the sky, and the overwhelming scene with a body of more than 1,000 feet gave the heavenly soldiers and generals a visual shock. It was too terrifying and unimaginable. Even if the Star Lord was sitting in charge, he would be completely helpless. No fighting spirit at all. In desperation, the 3 Star Kings all exchanged glances at this moment, planning to use their magic weapons one after another to stop the Dragon King from becoming immortal in order to escape. And just when they were about to take action, a faint voice slowly sounded. Guys, is my coast of the East China Sea a place where you can come and leave whenever you want? As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying and intense dragon power spread out in all directions, centered on Dragon Emperor Zhou Qing, stirring up and forming an unprecedented terrifying shock wave, directly suppressing the three-star kings. Go. When the three-star kings heard the Dragon King's words, their bodies trembled subconsciously. It was unimaginable that the Dragon King of the East China Sea, who was not even worthy of being their ponyboy, had grown to such a terrifying level. They could clearly feel the unprecedentedly powerful Dragon Emperor's aura, and this Dragon Emperor's aura was extremely terrifying, carrying unimaginable killing power. Just as the Star Lords were about to react, they felt a terrifying and boundless force tightly binding them and imprisoning them, making it impossible for them to escape. It was extremely difficult to escape. But when they wanted to sacrifice the magic weapon, they found that even their minds were imprisoned, let alone using the magic weapon. They could only watch as the dragon's claws suddenly landed, turning them into nothing. Boom! A deafening loud noise came, and in the horrified eyes of the three-star kings, everything in front of them was obscured by the huge dragon claws, and the whole person immediately lost consciousness. Until the end, the three-star kings were still thinking about what happened on the shores of the four seas, and how the Dragon King Yao King possessed such terrifying power, crushing them several times. No wonder, the Dragon King dared to establish a country. The three-star kings, not to mention regretting it, came directly to conquer the shores of the four seas without any preparation. Heavenly soldiers, heavenly generals, and three-star kings, take them. Suddenly, a majestic voice came, and in the dim sky, a huge golden pagoda flashing with 9-color light appeared without warning, carrying the power of suppressing everything and appearing directly in the entire sky. The next moment, the 9-colored exquisite pagoda was like a huge black hole, and the heavenly soldiers and generals who wanted to escape, as well as the suppressed three-star kings, were all put into the pagoda, as if they had never existed. The battle started as quickly as it ended. After a while, the 9-color exquisite pagoda gradually shrank and fell into the palm of Bao Qing's hand. Looking at the 9-colored exquisite pagoda, a slight smile appeared on the corner of Bao Qing's mouth, thinking that these 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals were nothing more than that, he alone could handle them. With such strength, he dared to conquer their shores all over the world. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. It has increased by 3 points. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. It has increased by 3 points. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. It has increased by 3 points. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. It has increased by 3 points. Listening to the sound of the Dragon Clan's luck improving again, Yao Qing nodded slightly, thinking that it was not bad for these people to give him some Dragon Clan's luck, so he accepted the gift. However, even so, Yao Qing's deep eyes were still staring at the sky, as if there was someone there. Since you're here, why don't you sit down? Yao Qing curled his lips slightly and looked into the darkness. And in the darkness, a peerless beauty who had been hiding and observing secretly the whole time slowly revealed her figure, and the huge aura of the Empress enveloped the entire world in an instant. But soon, the aura of the Empress was dissipated by the aura of the Emperor exuding from Yao Qing. Seeing that her imperial aura was suddenly shaken away by the Dragon King in the distance, the stunning beauty frowned slightly. As one of the rulers of heaven, although the Queen Mother assists the Emperor of Heaven, she also has a powerful Empress aura. Otherwise, how could she and the Emperor of Heaven control the entire heaven? However, what makes the Queen Mother a little confused is what kind of background this Dragon Emperor is able to withstand her imperial aura and even disperse it. The Second Coming. The confrontation between the Empress and the Dragon Emperor. You must know that the foundation of this imperial spirit is based on the country. The stronger the country, the stronger the imperial spirit. Although the Queen Mother was a puppet of various forces, she also held real power. However, she did not expect that she would be defeated by Bao Qing. How powerful must the water empire behind Bao Qing be? However, when she thought of how she had just taken action and killed many heavenly soldiers and generals, the Queen Mother had some thoughts. Only such a country master can have such a powerful country, right? In fact, the 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals and 3-star kings that Yao Qing had just defeated were just chess pieces sent by the Queen Mother to test Yao Qing's strength. However, the Queen Mother did not expect that the Four Seas coast was already so powerful. I didn't expect that in just a few months, the small shore of the Four Seas has developed into this, and now even a country has been established. The Dragon Emperor is alive. Do you really want to challenge the majesty of the heaven? The Queen Mother stepped on the auspicious clouds and stared at Nao Qing with a pair of cold eyes, trying to capture Nao Qing's true thoughts. Behind her, the sky had become dark and dense. Hundreds of thousands of heavenly soldiers and generals were watching with eager eyes. 28 constellations and 36 heavenly kings followed closely behind her, with a murderous look. However, these people were obviously shocked by the Dragon King's aura, and many of them were trembling. However, facing an enemy that was several times more powerful than before, the shrimp soldiers and crab generals, Prime Minister Turtle, Aoguang and others on the shores of the four seas were not afraid at all, with strong fighting spirit shining in their eyes. It is unimaginable that no one is afraid of heaven. Bao Qing chuckled, and the faint voice spread again. The ordinary voice immediately exploded in the ears of every heavenly soldier and general, directly shaking away the murderous intent of many heavenly soldiers and generals, even with the Queen Mother and the Queen Mother. The faces of the 28 constellations and the 36 heavenly kings who were accompanying him also changed, turning pale as paper, and their bodies began to shake violently. The Queen Mother frowned and snorted coldly. In the excitement of her voice, everyone broke free from the fear that had just been shrouded in the voice of Zhou Qing. Many heavenly soldiers and generals were gasping for breath, and their faces became slightly rosier. General, recover. However, at the next moment, Dragon King Zhou Qing appeared without any warning among hundreds of thousands of heavenly soldiers and generals, and began to fight. Countless heavenly soldiers and generals fell again and turned into puffs of blood mist. We, all around the world, have had enough of being dogs in heaven. And when Bao Qing's words fell on Aoguang, Prime Minister Turtle, and the shrimp soldiers and crab generals, it was like blowing the clarion call of war, making everyone excited, gearing up, and rushing forward one after another. Yes, how many years have they been the dogs of heaven on the shores of the sea? But instead of having mercy on the dog of the Dragon Clan, the heavenly court actually ate dog meat, cooked dog soup, and when it was unhappy, it sent the dog directly to see the King of Hell. Who wants to live such a life? Especially when it comes to Nao Qing's words, being a dog in heaven, everyone from all over the world feels the same way. How come you are a god, so you can be so high above us and control our life and death at will? Prime Minister Gui slowly spoke, and his whole body turned into a huge sacred beast Xuanwu that was more than 100 feet tall. Yes, why are you in charge of our life and death? Aoguang on the side was also excited and transformed into a 6-clawed golden dragon with a body of more than 100 feet. Seeing the war kicking off like this, the expressions of the Queen Mother, 28 stars, 36 heavenly lords and others changed continuously. Unexpectedly, this shore of the world, facing so many masters, would take the lead in taking action. When did the Dragon Clan become so powerful? Not even afraid of their heavenly majesty. The Queen Mother was about to take action when a star on the side quickly grabbed the Queen Mother and said, "Queen Mother, we don't have many people with us this time. I'm afraid we won't be able to compete with us from all over the world. Let's retreat first. Evacuate. Is our shores to the four seas a place where you can come and leave whenever you want?" Having seen countless time travels, Nao Qing saw through the Queen Mother's plot at a glance. This guy clearly sent 3 Star Lords to come here first to see the strength of Seehaiban, but he didn't expect that he would notice it all of a sudden. However, Nao Qing also realized that if the Queen Mother did not have such ability, she would not be able to stay in heaven for so long. Having said that, Yao Qing's huge dragon body shook, and the flashing thunder and lightning all over him immediately took away the lives of countless star kings. The 28 stars accompanying him, all with faces as pale as paper, were unable to resist Yao Qing. Long Wei. Seeing that she was about to be defeated and the power she had worked so hard to accumulate was going to be in vain, the Queen Mother frowned and hesitated. In 3 days, this palace will hold a peach festival in the heaven. I wonder if the Dragon Emperor is interested. If the Dragon Emperor lets it go, I am willing to offer you a 9,000-year-old peach. 9,000 years of flat peach. But Bao Qing knows how powerful this flat peach is. Just one peach can live as long as heaven and earth, and increase a lot of Taoism. This Queen Mother is really a generous person. But, do you want to send me away with just one? Bao Qing grinned, and suddenly the 9-colored exquisite pagoda burst into light with 9 colored colors. In just a few breaths, it quickly grew longer and larger, from the size of a short palm to the size of a giant tower. The next moment, Aoqing directly controlled the 9-colored exquisite pagoda to fly towards the sky. A shocking scene immediately appeared. The 9-color exquisite pagoda seemed to have given birth to a huge black hole. A strong suppressive force enveloped the heads of the heavenly soldiers and generals. Before the heavenly soldiers and generals could react, they felt a strong suction force appear, pulling them madly and sucking them into the Linglong pagoda. The Queen Mother, who was flying at the front, noticed something was wrong at this time. Just as she and the 28 constellations and 36 heavenly lords were about to take action, those heavenly soldiers and generals turned into a beam of light and were directly sucked in. In the Linglong pagoda, it became the creature in the pagoda. The Queen Mother's eyes widened. She didn't expect that Daoqing would suddenly take action. With this move, Daoqing directly took away at least half of the heavenly soldiers and generals she brought this time. This was tantamount to provoking Her Majesty as the Queen Mother. Queen Mother, this Dragon Emperor has established an empire of water here. In this Dragon Emperor's empire, any humans or gods who try to invade this Dragon Emperor will be regarded as enemies by this Dragon Emperor. Otherwise, others will. I think this Dragon King, with its shores of 4 seas, is a place where you can come and leave whenever you want, don't you? At this moment, the 9-colored exquisite pagoda gradually shrank in the bright golden light and fell into the hands of Aoqing. Aoqing said with a heartbeat and breathlessness. At present, the shores of the 4 seas already have a certain amount of capital to compete with other forces, not to mention that he has already established a country. At the same time, he wanted to take this opportunity to tell the big guys in the mythical world that the dignity of the country cannot be violated. Okay, now we can talk about how many 9,000-year-old flat peaches are there. Daoqing shrugged his shoulders. It was still useful for the Queen Mother to keep him. Once heaven fell, the 3 saints' spearheads would be directed at him. By then, his shores would be unable to bear the 3 saints joining forces. Although Seihaiban is now very strong, it is still a little bit behind. Run. The Queen Mother's Peach Festival. How about 3 9,000-year-old flat peaches? The Queen Mother took a deep breath and tried her best to suppress the anger in her heart. Daoqing grinned. How could he not see that the Queen Mother invited him to attend the Peach Festival in order to win over his clan from all over the world? However, he never expected that the hostess of heaven would also want to win over him. However, after thinking about it carefully, Daoqing understood that the great tribulation of the gods was about to begin. On the surface, as the spokespersons of heaven, they represented the strongest force and the strongest group in the 6 realms. But in fact, they were just arbitrary. They are just puppets needed by humans. The Queen Mother wooed her because she wanted to get rid of her status as a puppet and completely gain real power. In fact, Aoqing's guess was correct. In order to get rid of her puppet status over the years, the Queen Mother has done a lot of things to win over, and this Peach Festival is one of her methods to win over many immortals. Even during the journey to the West Era, the Queen Mother still relied on the Peach Festival to win over many immortals, gods, monks and Buddhas, and secretly engaged in power and money transactions. Otherwise, the Jade Emperor would not deliberately let an uneasy person know before the Peach Festival. The newborn monkey went to take care of the peach orchard. Everything is machinations and interests. These 3 9,000-year-old flat peaches are already a big deal. Of course, Daoqing has no interest in so-called political intrigues, but it has to be said that he is still very interested in the flat peaches in Pantaoyuan. You know, just 3,000 years of flat peach is enough to give a mortal the ability to ascend to immortality. You can imagine how powerful this flat peach is, not to mention 6,000 years of flat peach, 9,000-year-old flat peach, or even it can make people live as long as heaven and earth. What, 5 9,000-year-old flat peaches? Daoqing deliberately pretended not to hear. The Queen Mother glared at Daoqing fiercely, and she was about to have a fit, but she endured it hard. Okay, I will fulfill my promise and bring you back to the palace. With a cold snort, the Queen Mother, surrounded by 28 stars and 36 heavenly kings, returned to the heaven. Exactly 3 days later, she went to the Peach Festival. From a distance, she looked as embarrassed as she could be. Looking at the Queen Mother leaving, Prime Minister Gui, Aoguang and others were in a state of admiration for their Dragon King. Lord Dragon King, you are so powerful. He actually sucked away his 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals in front of the Queen Mother. Yes, Lord Dragon King, we dragons haven't been so happy for a long time. We are so proud. Yeah, it's so satisfying to see those immortals and gods deflated. Prime Minister Gui, Ao Guang and others all said, not to mention how proud they were. Who is that on the other side? That was the Queen Mother, the Mistress of Heaven, a legendary beauty of stunning beauty. And even for such a being, facing the Dragon Emperor, he has to grovel. No matter who he is, he should feel comfortable. Hee. Ignoring the compliments from Prime Minister Turtle and others, Bao Qing just looked at the system prompts and took stock of his gains. In fact, if there were not 3 great saints watching from behind, he would definitely have included the Queen Mother in the exquisite pagoda this time. Bao Qing didn't look at the system prompts, but he wasn't startled. When he looked at the system prompts, even he couldn't help but take a breath. Congratulations! Your Shan Sheji luck capture map has successfully captured 2 de Xingjun's luck and blessings. You have obtained the Earth God. Under the protection of the Earth God, the damage of any Earth element spells is reduced by 80%, and the power of Earth element spells is increased by 100%. Congratulations! Your Shan Sheji luck capture map has successfully captured Lord Red Star's luck and blessings. You have obtained the God of Thunder. Under the protection of the God of Thunder, the damage of any thunder element spells is reduced by 80%, and the power of thunder element spells is increased by 100%. Congratulations! Your Shan Sheji luck capture map has successfully captured Huo Xingjun's luck and blessings. You have obtained the Vulcan God. Under the protection of the Vulcan God, the damage of any earth element spells is reduced by 80%, and the power of earth element spells is increased by 100%. Just by looking at this system prompt, you can tell how incredible these gods that have been captured are. Doesn't this mean that Ao Qing is basically immune to the attacks of these spells? It is indeed the map for seizing the destiny of Shan Sheji. Bao Qing couldn't help but admired, saying in his heart that these Xingjun's gods are really powerful, but it's a pity that they are his now. Moving his eyes slowly, Yao Qing noticed that apart from these, the others were just rubbish magic weapons that were not worth mentioning. However, just when Ao Qing was about to turn off the system prompts and return to the coast of the East China Sea to practice, a very pleasant voice came from the system. Are you going to evolve the 9-colored exquisite pagoda again? With only 5 evolution points, the 9-colored exquisite pagoda can evolve into the Heaven and Earth Xuanwang Hunyuan exquisite pagoda, and all the things it suppresses can be used by the user. After being used by the user, the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, it will automatically change into a shrimp soldier and a crab general, with the same strength. The upper limit is 100,000, and each use is separated by 3 months. Quote, the Xuanwang Hunyuan exquisite pagoda of heaven and earth. All the things that are suppressed can be used by the user. After being used by the user, the heavenly soldiers and generals will automatically change into shrimp soldiers and crab generals, with the same strength. Bao Qing was stunned. Due to the confrontation with the Queen Mother at that time, Ao Qing did not notice it, but now that he was reminded, one can imagine his inner excitement. Doesn't this mean that just by relying on the 9-colored exquisite pagoda, he can add unlimited troops to the shores of the 4 seas? However, obviously this 9-colored exquisite pagoda has restrictions and can only be used once every 3 months, but I have to say that the effect is quite incredible. It just so happened that he had 8 evolution points on hand that could be allocated to his subordinates. Without hesitation, Bao Qing directly allocated 5 points to the evolution of the 9 colors exquisite pagoda. You allocated 5 evolution points on the 9-colored exquisite pagoda. The 9-colored exquisite pagoda will evolve into the Heaven and Earth Xuanwang Hunyuan exquisite pagoda. All the things suppressed can be used by the user. A shocking scene happened immediately. The 9-color exquisite pagoda in his palm suddenly bloomed with an unprecedented 9-color light, covering the entire seashore. After a while, the 9-colored light gradually gathered together and turned into a purple gold light like Buddha's light, shrouding the exquisite pagoda. The exquisite pagoda that was originally made of copper was now made of gold. The light of purple gold was even more intense and radiant. An unprecedented sense of sacredness spread out around the Linglong pagoda, and then returned to Bao Qing's hands. Bao Qing only felt a sacred power wrapped around him, and then established an extremely beautiful and close connection with him. Is this the power of the Xuanwang Hunyuan exquisite pagoda of heaven and earth? Bao Qing murmured. The re-evolution of the first pagoda, the Xuanwang Hunyuan Linglong Pagoda of Heaven and Earth. As soon as the evolved, Heaven and Earth Xuanwang Hunyuan Exquisite Pagoda fell into the palm of Bo Qing felt a faint chill coming from the palm of his hand, and then, it was transmitted to his among the limbs and bones. It was as if a powerful force began to cleanse Nao Qing's whole body, making Nao Qing clearly feel that he had established an extremely close connection with the Tiandao Xuanwang Hunyuan Exquisite Pagoda in his palm. It was as if the Light Pagoda of Heaven and Earth Xuanwang Hunyuan were his limbs and his bones. As long as he moved his mind, he could use them as freely as his limbs. This feeling is extremely wonderful. It is a powerful magic weapon, the feeling of being fully controlled by oneself. After a while, Nao Qing clearly felt that the Linglong Pagoda of Heaven and Earth Xuanwang Hunyuan had completely evolved successfully, and through the Linglong Pagoda, he could clearly see the many heavenly soldiers and generals suppressed in the pagoda. These heavenly soldiers and generals are as small as ants at this moment, suppressed in the pagoda. No matter how hard they struggle, they can't escape and ascend to heaven. Seeing this, Ao Qing's lips curled up slightly. I remember that when Taoist Ran Dang gave Li Jing the Linglong Pagoda as a gift, it was just to be able to subdue Nezha. Among the many magic weapons, the Linglong Pagoda was also one of the 3 major defensive magic weapons. It was difficult to kill with ordinary magic weapons. But I'm afraid only Ao Qing knows that the real power of this exquisite pagoda is not its defense, but its suppression. 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals directly suppressed him. How terrifying this is. Now that the Linglong Pagoda has undergone 2 more evolutions, its power is naturally even greater than before. It has been detected that 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals have been suppressed in your Heaven and Earth Xuanwang Hunyuan Exquisite Pagoda. Do you want to turn them all into your own subordinates? After becoming subordinates, they will all become soldiers and generals, at your disposal. The sweet voice sounded again, and Ao Qing chose, yes, without hesitation. A shocking scene immediately appeared. In the bright golden light, the dark heavenly soldiers and generals were released directly from the Linglong Pagoda. In just a few breaths, they directly filled the entire East China Sea beach. The heavenly soldiers and generals had just been released, and Prime Minister Turtle and others on the side were full of vigilance and were ready to take action. As a result, the leading heavenly generals plopped down and knelt down directly in front of Bao Qing. Heavenly General Han Chu is willing to lead 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals, and follow the Dragon Emperor from now on. As soon as he finished speaking, the leading heavenly general flashed white light and transformed into a crab general, while the heavenly soldiers also transformed into shrimp soldiers, each with murderous intent and loyalty on their faces. Upon seeing this, Prime Minister Turtle was stunned at first, and then he was delighted. Wow, 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 you are worthy of being the Dragon King. Even the heavenly soldiers and generals are willing to assist you. Yes, it's really amazing. As expected of our Lord Dragon King. Ao Guang also said excitedly. Ignoring the compliments of several people, Ao Qing's eyes fell on the 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals. From now on, we will integrate into the shores of the 4 seas. Prime Minister Gui, I will leave their affairs to you to arrange. Yes, Prime Minister Turtle couldn't help but straighten his back and raise his neck. Who would have thought that he, a little turtle Prime Minister, would one day command 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals? These are all because of the existence of the Dragon King. Ao Guang watched beside him, not to mention envious and excited. He quickly followed Prime Minister Gui and went to prepare. Looking at Prime Minister Turtle and others who were busy, Nao Qing stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the sky with cold eyes. Although the Queen Mother came to him and was defeated this time, it does not mean that with the power of the shores of the 4 seas, she can completely confront the heaven. The 28 stars, the 36 heavenly kings, the 72 heavenly kings, etc. A mortal lord is definitely not easy to deal with. But then again, if the heavenly court is really that easy to deal with, the 3 saints will not choose the great tribulation of gods and install their own forces, but will overthrow the heavenly court and support a new one. Behind heavenly court, there is still heavenly Dao Hongjun and Patriarch Hongjun supporting him. No matter what the 3 saints are doing, they dare not act rashly. And this time the peach event held by the Queen Mother also felt that it was not as simple as a peach event, and it was impossible to say the Hongmen banquet. However, with Bo Qing's temperament, what can he do even if his opponent is Hongmen Yan? He was completely unafraid. Carefully putting the invitation letter into his bag, Bao Qing returned directly to the East China Sea Dragon Palace. There are still 3 days left before the Peach Festival. Taking advantage of this time, he must once again improve Seehaiben's overall strength and personal strength to prepare for unpredictable events in the future. After all, in this mythical world, strength is that's the most important thing. The East China Sea Dragon Palace was not far away. After a while, Nao Qing returned to the Dragon Palace, quietly sat cross-legged on the dragon bed, and started practicing the Dragon God art. It has to be said that under the larger East China Sea Dragon Palace, Bao Qing clearly felt that his cultivation speed had increased countless times. What he originally didn't understand about Dragon God art was now suddenly understood. Many things that I couldn't figure out gradually began to figure out, and the shackles that had always existed in my mind were instantly broken. The 8th level of Thunder Tribulation. Suddenly, Bao Qing felt something in his mind and began to attack the 8th level of Dragon God art. Although compared to the 7th level of Dragon God art, the 8th level of Dragon God art is more difficult and more difficult to understand, but for some reason, maybe it is due to the relationship with the Saint level Yuanshi Tianzun, those even the difficult and obscure places were easily understood. If anyone was around Nao Qing at this moment, they would be shocked to find that beside him, accompanied by bursts of hissing sounds, streaks of thunder and lightning filled his surroundings. These thunder and lightning are purple thunder and lightning. They seem harmless to humans and animals, but only those monks can feel it. This is tribulation thunder, and it is a very high-level tribulation thunder. Anyone with a low level of moral conduct is afraid of death if they encounter a calamity thunder, and their soul will be scattered in an instant. When Bao Qing sat cross-legged, he didn't know the time. Thunder and lightning were entangled, and the thunderbolt was operating, making a faint rumbling sound. The entire East China Sea Dragon Palace also shook violently because of him. The seawater, which was originally an ordinary temperature, also became hot in an instant. It's like boiling water. Prime Minister Gui, Ao Guang, Ao Bing, Si Buxian and others all felt the strange vision of the Dragon Palace, and all turned their gazes towards the Dragon Palace in the East China Sea. Even a fool knows that the Dragon King in their minds will only make progress and take one step further. No, all parties are waiting and watching. At this moment, above the 33rd heaven, Kunlun, Yushu Palace, Yuanshi Tianzun sat quietly on the futon, his eyes flashing with deep shock. So, the Queen Mother led 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals to attack the shores of the 4 seas, and the Dragon Emperor defeated 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals with just one person. Yes, that's right, Holy Lord. The current strength of the Dragon Emperor Yao Qing on the shores of the 4 seas is really too powerful. Not only is the Dragon King Ao King powerful, some of the shrimp soldiers and crab generals on the shores of the 4 seas are not even as strong as the heavenly soldiers and generals, but with the profound swordsmanship of Shushan, they still easily destroyed the heavenly soldiers and generals. Standing in front of Yuanshi Tianzun, a Taoist boy reported with some surprise. When he learned the news, he was also extremely surprised in his heart. Is the Dragon Emperor Yao Qing so powerful? Yuanshi Tianzun asked quickly. Although the realm of the 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals is a bit low, the combined power is definitely not something ordinary people can handle. Yes, even though Dragon King Ao Qing is still a 9-claw mutated golden dragon, his strength seems to be much more advanced than before. Dao Tong said this and took a deep breath. As soon as he finished speaking, Yuanshi Tianzun and Guang Chengji, who was standing quietly by the side, looked at each other in surprise and took a breath of cold air. No one knows better than them what this means. Although the heavenly soldiers and generals dispatched by the Queen Mother this time were not the real elites of the heavenly court, but the miscellaneous troops of the heavenly court, such a miscellaneous army had no problem sweeping through many legions of the demon clan, but what they did not expect was such an army was actually defeated by Dragon Emperor Yao Qing, but it was as if they were crushed. Are there any casualties? Yuanshi Tianzun asked, trying to find out the reason why Seehaiben is so powerful. The casualty report has been out for a long time. This time, half of the 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals died, and the shrimp soldiers and crab generals on the shores of the 4 seas. At this point, the Taoist boy hesitated and did not dare to say anything. What happened to the shrimp soldiers and crab generals? Yuan Shi Tianzun asked anxiously, a little angry. The casualty report on the shrimp soldiers and crab generals side is 0, that is to say, during the whole process, the 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals did not cause any damage to the shrimp soldiers and crab generals at all. Dao Tong lowered his head. Even he could not believe this data report, which further proved that the Dragon King is so powerful. As soon as the words fell, the entire Yushu palace was silent. Yuan Shi Tianzun raised his head and looked at Guang Chengji, and Guang Chengji looked at Yuan Shi Tianzun again, but neither of them said a word. What this means, I'm afraid only the two of them know clearly in their hearts. This is simply a one-sided massacre, a defeat. Are the 3 Xingjins all useless? They didn't take action. Guang Chengji suddenly asked. The 3 Star Lords were suppressed by the Dragon King's powerful long way before they could take action. Dao Tong shrugged helplessly. Guang Chengji said nothing. He was aware of the strength of Dragon Emperor Yao Qing, but what he couldn't figure out was, what power did Yao Qing have to make the entire Four Seas coast so powerful? Even a small shrimp soldier and crab general under his command can kill the opponent. Holy Lord, this time the Queen Mother holds a peach event and invites Yao Qing to participate. What should we do? Guang Chengji clenched the magic weapon in his hand. Thinking of the big loss he had suffered at the hands of Yao Qing, he was so angry that his teeth itched. Oh, the Queen Mother wants to take advantage of the Peach Festival to renegotiate the matter of becoming a god, right? Or to be more precise, she is here to win over the Dragon Emperor. After all, the list of gods is in his hands. Yuan Shi Tianzun's eyes flashed with profound light. Yuan Shi Tianzun has always been paying attention to the movements in the heaven. How could he not know that the Queen Mother and the Emperor of Heaven want to get rid of their puppet identities? If the relationship between the Queen Mother and them hadn't been maintained fairly well, I'm afraid even the Queen Mother would have been removed from the list of gods this time. The Peach Festival. Guang Chengji hesitated. Go and meet the Dragon Emperor again. Yuan Shi Tianzun's eyes were profound. In fact, he had also coveted flat peaches for a long time. At this moment, Bajing Palace. Laojun Dojo on the stage. So, the Dragon Clan on the shores of the Four Seas has become so powerful that we can hardly imagine it. The old man in the sky shook the whisk in his hand, thinking about something with a pair of deep eyes. Yes, Holy Lord, the strength of Sihaiban has far exceeded our expectations. Otherwise, Dragon Emperor Daoking would not have dared to establish a country in full view of heaven. But what I am a little confused about is that what path did the Dragon Emperor take to become a god, and why did he repeatedly sabotage our plan to become a god? The one who spoke was Taisheng Laojun's first disciple, Master Xuandu. As he spoke, Master Xuandu showed a profound gaze. Only by destroying the plan to become a god can we take advantage of this opportunity to strengthen ourselves. This Dragon King has been able to obtain the list of gods, but his purpose is not to become a god. Taisheng Laojun suddenly said. No, you are not conferring the title of god. Archmage Xuandu was stunned, not understanding the profound words of the Supreme Master at all. Yes, that's right. Instead of conferring gods, the goal is probably to create gods. Taisheng Laojun took a deep breath when he said this. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.